He doesn't look anything like me. Must be a mistake somewhere. Maybe he's not even my son, Andy remarked, openly favoring his good-looking and intelligent son over his daughter, Crystal. He told me, our daughter should get a job as soon as she finishes middle school and destroy the stuff we bought for her high school entrance. I couldn't take it anymore. I packed up and left, taking both kids with me. My name is Misty, an average 35-year-old stay-at-home mom. I used to live with my husband's son and daughter. My son, William, has always been handsome, mistaken for a girl when he was a kid. Friends would say, you should get William into acting or modeling. He's incredibly smart, gentle and mature. By age 3, he conversed like an adult. On the other hand, my younger daughter, Crystal, is the cutest girl in the world from my perspective as a parent. However, her appearance differs from the conventional pretty girl. She's a bit plump with curly hair and a round face, not athletic and slow to speak. To me, she's the most adorable girl in the world. Andy clearly favors William. When he gets home, he only pays attention to him. If Crystal tries to join in, Andy dismisses her, saying, she's creepy and trying too hard. William tries to include her, suggesting, let's all play together, but Andy discourages it, warning, don't play with Crystal, you'll catch her stupidity. William sits uncomfortably, understanding the situation. Even my mother-in-law, Jacqueline, dotes on William and mistreats Crystal. Andy's family owns a store, and Andy is expected to take over. This obligation leads us to visit my in-laws weekly. Every time we go, Jacqueline grimaces and remarks, oh, you brought Misty and Crystal again. You could have just brought Andy and William. She treats me like a maid over the phone if we don't attend. I do enjoy visiting my in-laws, but Andy insists I help with chores. On this day, Jacqueline decides to take William and Crystal to a large local park. Crystal is thrilled to spend time with her grandma. I had an uneasy feeling, but tied up with chores as usual, I reluctantly waved them off. By evening, Jacqueline returned home carrying a tired William on her back. Oh, he's getting heavy. William's growing up, she cheerfully commented, but there was no sign of Crystal. Jacqueline, where's Crystal? I asked, my unease growing. With no hint of guilt, Jacqueline replied, I don't know. Both were looking tired, but I can't carry both, so I told Crystal to walk back on her own. I couldn't believe what I just heard. A chill ran down my spine. I bolted out of the front door and sprinted towards the park, rolling over myself in a panic. Who would leave such a small child alone? I prayed she was all right as I burst into the park. Mom? The moment I heard that cry, Crystal leaped into my arms. I felt the tension drain out of me. A police officer was standing nearby. You're her mom, right? He asked. The park staff found her crying alone and called us. You shouldn't leave such a small child unattended. The officer admonished me, but then patted Crystal on the head, saying, it's good your mom came for you. I bowed my head to the officer several times and tightly held Crystal's hand as we headed home. On the way, Crystal spoke up in her innocent words, Mom, I was sleepy. Grandma said I could nap, so I slept on a park bench. When I woke up, no one was there, and I cried. I'm not mad, Crystal. I'm sorry, I said, my heart still racing with fear and relief. I scared you. I couldn't help but hug Crystal, who was carefully reading my expression. When we got back to my in-laws' place, both Jacqueline and Andy sighed at the sight of Crystal. So she's found, huh? Frustrated, I yelled at Andy. Do you even care what happens to your own child? Andy wasn't ashamed. He fired back with something shocking. I don't care what happens to her. She's ugly and not smart. She doesn't look like me at all. You probably had her with another man and are making me raise her. But that's not going to happen. Upon hearing this, Jacqueline also chimed in. It would have been fine if she hadn't been found. Who knows where she came from? I've never cheated. Crystal is absolutely your child. Do you have any evidence of me cheating? I protested, but all they did was mock me. From that point on, my daughter and I never went back to my in-laws' house. No matter how much Andy scolded us or how many sarcastic comments Jacqueline made over the phone, I endured it all to protect Crystal. William had noticed how poorly Andy and Jacqueline were treating us. Grandma would get mad if I also stayed home. I'm okay going alone. You and Crystal don't have to worry, William said as he gently stroked Crystal's head. Although I felt guilty toward William, we stayed home. William is truly a kind-hearted child. Dealing with Jacqueline's mood swings must have been tough, but William managed it with his inherent brightness and charm. I've thought about divorcing many times, but without any qualifications and being just a housewife, I couldn't fathom supporting William and Crystal all by myself. So, I had no choice but to endure. A decade had passed since Crystal and I effectively cut ties with my in-laws. William had become a working adult, and Crystal was about to start high school with a new backpack and textbooks. She was looking forward to this new chapter in her life. Andy still treated Crystal poorly, but we had both decided to ignore him. As long as William and Mom are on my side, that's all that matters, Crystal would say, which always made my heart ache. Still, seeing Crystal excited about her new life made me happy too. But then disaster struck. Andy saw Crystal's new school supplies and went ballistic. "What is this? You're planning on going to high school? We've raised you this far, and you're not even our real child. Quit school and start working. Pay us back for all we've spent," Andy yelled, ripping up her textbooks and tearing her bag apart, hurling them into the muddy yard soaked from days of rain. "I'll make sure your mom hears about this," Andy said, dialing his in-laws. Jacqueline came over almost immediately, as if she'd been waiting for this moment. "Who do you think you are planning to go to high school on our dime? You should be thankful you even got to go to middle school. Get a job as soon as you graduate and give us all your earnings," Jacqueline declared. "Misty, you should be grateful we even took care of your affair child," she added, clearly enjoying herself. "You two are nothing but a bad influence on William, our heir. You're both worthless. Get out." So there we were, Crystal and I, picking up her thrown school supplies, listening to Andy and Jacqueline's harsh words. Both of us were drenched in the rain. Rain soaked our hair, and droplets streamed down our faces to the ground. I couldn't tell if they were tears or rain anymore. With William already moved out, there was no one left to stand up to these two. Crystal and I looked at each other, and we both knew there was no reason left to stay in this house after that. We packed a few essentials and left. Andy and Jacqueline agreed to the divorce without a fuss. With nowhere to go, we turned to William for help. He was shocked to see us covered in mud and rain, but quickly understood the situation and welcomed us into his home. William offered me a warm shower, a change of clothes, and a soothing drink. Feeling a bit more settled, we sat down to talk about what's next. "I got a call from Dad earlier. He says he's divorcing Mom and we should never let them in the house again," William said. "He told me to quit my job and take over the family store. But I don't want any part of it. I can't stand him or Grandpa." Hearing this made my heart ache for William. I've always wondered how hard it's been for him, stuck between our family and his in-laws since childhood. I had put up with it for as long as Dad and Mom were married and while Crystal was in that house. But that's not the case anymore, is it? William grinned mischievously. "How about changing schools, Crystal? I'm being transferred to another state. We can all move there and keep it a secret from Dad and Grandma. I hope their store goes under." Upon hearing William's enthusiastic proposal, Crystal exclaimed, "I'm definitely in." I've always relied on William, so it made me feel guilty, but I decided to go along with it because it seemed like the best course of action. Everything fell into place smoothly after that. A few weeks later, we were settling into our new lives in a new place. What Andy and Jacqueline don't know is that Crystal is actually brilliant. She's always been good at tests, she just developed a little slower than others. She even aced the entrance exam to a top high school at our new location. Crystal and I both got new phone numbers, cutting off all contact with Andy and Jacqueline. William kept his line open just to keep tabs on them. He thought it would be best to have minimal communication to avoid being desperately searched for. 10 years have passed since then. Crystal is an adult now, and William has a decent job. We're all living separately. Today is a rare occasion where we've all gathered for a family meal. I decided to dress up a bit as I waited for the two of them. Suddenly, I hear, "Is that you, Misty?" "Yes, it's Misty," I replied. It was Andy, now balding and bloated, and Jacqueline, her hair completely white and hunched over like a character from a storybook. "Where have you been for 10 years, Misty? We've been worried. Are you still mad about us claiming Crystal is a child of an affair? Come back. We haven't seen Crystal and William for years." "Where are my kids?" Andy ranted, saliva flying from his mouth. "Yes, come back. We're in terrible shape now," Jacqueline shrieked in her hoarse voice. Despite the dramatic reunion, I felt nothing. I observed them oddly detached. Mom, what's going on?" I heard a voice behind me. I turned to see a sharply dressed young man and a lovely young woman in a cute dress pointing at Andy and Jacqueline. Andy and Jacqueline were speechless. Is that William and Crystal? The young man asked incredulously. Yes, but what are Dad and Grandma doing here? William responded tersely. Wow, you both look incredible, Crystal. You've turned into such a beauty. I hardly recognized you, the young woman said warmly. I never imagined that little Crystal would grow up to be this stunning. I wish I'd been there to see it. Ignoring William's question, both Andy and Jacqueline shared their thoughts. You see, after Crystal moved away from Andy and Jacqueline, her life improved significantly. Whether it was the lack of stress or her active involvement in high school activities, she transformed. Her face slimmed down, and her eyes, once lost in baby fat, became more pronounced. Her hair, which was once unmanageably frizzy, gained a beautiful wave. Now Crystal is so adorable that she could stand next to a celebrity and not be overshadowed. Well, since her older brother William is handsome, Crystal must have had the potential to be beautiful as well, Jacqueline added. Both William and Crystal are successful and employed by big corporations. They are the pride and joy of me, their mother, so the family is back together after 10 years. Let's go out for dinner. I don't have money on me, but you both can pay, right? After all, I raised you, Andy said, placing his hand on Crystal's shoulder. She promptly slapped it away. Don't touch me, it's creepy. I've always been told I was a result of my mother's affair. I have no father, and you didn't raise me. Who are you? Crystal, now wearing heels, towered over Andy. Enough is enough, William stated calmly. I won't forget what you did to Mom and Crystal. Today is the last day we're in contact. Don't bother calling again. Andy exploded with anger. How dare you speak to your parents like that? Crystal, come home and marry a local businessman's son. William, come back and save the family business. Misty, apologize and serve us for the rest of your life. Andy's temper flared like wildfire. We exchanged glances and burst into laughter. Why would we want your forgiveness? What made you think that? Crystal said, smiling. I'm actually getting married soon, so that businessman's son is out of the question. I'm starting my own business, so there's no way I can take over the family shop. What a shame, it'll go under. Both of them laughed, shaking their shoulders. Andy looked desperate. Misty, you'll come back, won't you? His needy gaze was repulsive. No, Andy, we're done here, I replied, turning away with my children. Why would I return to that house? Who wants to be a housemaid there? Besides, I've remarried, so no, I can't go back. I flashed the shining ring on my left hand. What? You remarried without telling me? I won't accept this. Andy tried to snatch the ring off my finger, but before William could step in, another man came between us. Do you have business with my wife? No rough handling, please, Alan said, his presence imposing. Andy felt cornered. What's your deal? He retorted, trying to puff up his chest. I'm Misty's husband. As far as I know, you and Misty divorced a decade ago. I was the lawyer who facilitated the process. A lawyer? Andy seemed visibly shaken. That's right, I fell for Owen, the lawyer who helped me during my divorce, and we started dating. A few years later, we got married. Andy's face turned even redder. A lawyer, huh? Think you're something special because you make some money? Everyone, listen to me. Misty's my wife, and William and Crystal are my kids. You're in the way. With that, Andy charged at Owen like a raging bull, but Owen dodged smoothly. Unable to stop himself, Andy stumbled and rolled away, letting out a pathetic cry. Oh no, Jacqueline screamed in dismay. We all watched, holding our breath, wondering if Andy was all right. Lying on his back, Andy yelled, I'll forgive you all if you listen to me now. Good, he didn't seem to be badly hurt, but the fall did appear to shake him up quite a bit. What should we do now? I thought. Owen reassured me, I've called an ambulance. It'll be all right. Let's leave the rest to them. Crystal was fuming. You're too kind. You should have just left him. Even her angry face was adorable. Hey, our dinner reservation is soon. Let's get going, or we'll be late, William reminded us. Yes, today was a special family dinner day. With a reassuring embrace from Owen, we left. We could hear Andy and Jacqueline's verbal abuse behind us, but nothing scared us now. Months later, we heard that Andy's struggling business finally went under. Owen had gotten the news from a real estate contact. For 10 years after we left, Andy had kept things afloat surprisingly. Now, Andy was blaming the fall for not being able to work, leaving Jacqueline to handle both the house and work, struggling to pay off debts. Hearing this, I couldn't help but marvel at how karma works. What goes around comes around. On a sunny Sunday afternoon, I was trying on a dress for Crystal's wedding. That looks great on you. I wonder which one I should wear. To think I'd see the day I'd attend as Crystal's father, it feels like a dream. I turned around and there was Owen, holding 2 tuxedos in his hands, smiling shyly.
I grip my wine glass tighter as my mother clutches my hand across the mahogany dining table, her perfectly manicured nails digging into my skin. "Darling, this could be your last shot," she says, loud enough for everyone to hear. I force a smile while mentally calculating how many seconds until I can excuse myself to the bathroom. I'm Sadie, and at 36, I've mastered the art of nodding politely through these weekly family dinners while my soul slowly dies inside. Tonight's special torture, watching my sister Lauren parade her perfect life while dropping not-so-subtle hints about my biological clock. "Did you hear about Jessica from church?" Lauren asks, cutting into her salmon. "She just got engaged. Wasn't she in your year at college?" "Different Jessica," I reply, though we both know she's right. I take another sip of wine, letting the expensive Cabernet wash away the urge to mention Jessica's 3 previous divorces. "Speaking of engagements," my mother chimes in, "the Hearts and Horizons charity gala is coming up. So many eligible bachelors attend." She trails off meaningfully. My niece, Solstice, rolls her eyes from across the table. At 17, she's the only one who seems to see through this weekly performance. "Mom, please stop trying to marry off Aunt Sadie. It's embarrassing." "Solstice," Lauren scolds, but I catch my niece's conspiratorial wink. Fabian, Lauren's husband, clears his throat. "Actually, about the gala. We were hoping you might escort Solstice, Sadie. Lauren and I have that conference in Phoenix that weekend. Unless you're too busy with your... what is it you do again? Computer stuff," my cousin Nora adds with synthetic sweetness. I swallow the urge to correct her. Instead, I say, "Just freelance tech consulting." The lie slides off my tongue easily after 10 years of practice. "Perfect then," my mother exclaims. "You can take Solstice and maybe network a little yourself. God knows you could use some direction in your career." The irony almost makes me laugh out loud. Almost. "I'd love to take Solstice," I say, watching my niece's face light up. "When is it?" "Next Saturday," Lauren answers, already tapping on her phone. "I'll send you the details. It's black tie, so please wear something appropriate." Her eyes drift to my simple black blazer. "Don't worry," I say. "I'll make sure we both look presentable." My mother beams. "Who knows? This could be exactly what you need, darling. A chance to finally get your life on track." I nod, letting her words wash over me like they always do. If they only knew that my computer stuff had just closed a deal worth more than their combined net worth. If they knew about the office building I owned downtown, or the fact that the charity gala they're so excited about. "Earth to Sadie," Nora waves her hand in front of my face. "You're doing that thing again where you space out. This is exactly why you're still single." "Sorry," I murmur. "Just thinking about work." "Oh, honey," my mother sighs. "You need to focus less on work and more on building a real life. Look at Lauren, successful career, beautiful family, active in the community." Lauren preens under the praise while Solstice makes a gagging motion behind her water glass. I hide my smile. "Speaking of community," Fabian adds, "did you hear about the anonymous donor who saved Hearts and Horizons? Apparently they were about to close their doors before someone stepped in. Must be nice to have that kind of money to throw around," Nora comments, "though I prefer to give back in more personal ways." She volunteers exactly 2 hours every Christmas at a soup kitchen and posts about it extensively on Instagram. My phone buzzes. It's a text from Angela. "Wallace confirmed everything's set for next Saturday." "Another work emergency?" Lauren asks, noting my slight smile. "You know, if you'd focused on building a proper career instead of jumping between freelance jobs, I tuck my phone away. No emergency, just confirming plans for next weekend. I turn to Solstice. Looking forward to our date? God, yes, she says. Finally, a family event that won't be totally boring. If they only knew how right she was. As dinner winds down and my mother insists on sending me home with leftovers, since you probably don't cook for yourself, I maintain my usual quiet smile. Let them think I'm the family charity case. Let them believe I'm lost, directionless, in need of their guidance and pity. In exactly 9 days, they'll learn just how wrong they've been. And I can't wait to see their faces when they do. The security guard nods as I scan my fingerprint and enter the private elevator to the top floor. My heels click against marble as I walk through the empty corridor, past unmarked doors that hide millions in technology and talent. This is my empire, the one my family thinks is a desk in my apartment where I do computer stuff. There's my favourite secret millionaire. Angela's voice echoes through my corner office as I push open the glass door. She's sprawled on my leather couch, tablet in hand, already reviewing the gala preparations. Billionaire, actually, I correct her, setting down my coffee. As of last week's merger. Angela sits up straight. Holy shit, Sadie, and you're still letting your family think you're barely making rent? For 9 more days. I sink into my chair, kicking off my heels. Though my mother did generously send me home with leftovers last night, so I don't starve. Speaking of last night, Angela swipes through her tablet. Wallace called. He wants to know if you're sure about the reveal, says there's still time to keep it anonymous. I shake my head. No, I'm done hiding. What finally pushed you over the edge? Before I can answer, my phone buzzes. It's a text from Solstice. OMG, Mom is planning some weird intro speech for you at the gala. Something about celebrating your journey toward finding yourself. Kill me now. That, I show Angela the text. That's what pushed me. 10 years of building this company from nothing, and they're planning to introduce me as their pet project. Angela stands and walks to the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Show me the numbers again. I want to see their faces when they realise. I pull up the company dashboard on my wall screen. Graphs and figures illuminate the glass. Client portfolios, investment returns, charitable contributions. The Hearts and Horizons donation, $50 million, blinks in bold green. Remember when we started, I ask, working out of your garage, eating ramen every night? Remember when your sister told you to get a real job at her husband's company? Angela mimics Lauren's condescending tone perfectly. My phone rings. It's Wallace. Sadie, got a minute? His voice booms through the speaker. For my favourite charity CEO, always. Listen, the press is starting to sniff around about the anonymous donation. I need to know, are we still on for the reveal at the gala? I glance at the family photo on my desk, taken at last year's Christmas dinner. Everyone in designer clothes, perfect smiles. Me in the back, slightly out of focus. Absolutely, but Wallace, make it subtle. I don't want this to look like revenge. Even though it kind of is, he chuckles. It's justice, I correct him. There's a difference. After hanging up, Angela pulls up the seating chart for the gala. I put your family at table 1, front and centre. Perfect view of the stage. My phone buzzes again. This time it's Lauren. Sadie, darling, I just wanted to check. You are planning to wear a gown to the gala, right? Not one of your suits. I put her on speaker so Angela can enjoy this. Actually, I had something specific in mind. Oh? Lauren's skepticism bleeds through the phone. Do you need help shopping? I know these events can be overwhelming if you're not used to them. Angela mimes, gagging. I think I can manage, I reply coolly. I have some experience with formal wear. Well, just remember, this is an important night for Solstice. We want to make the right impression. After hanging up, Angela looks at me seriously. You know they're going to lose their minds, right? Not just about the money, but about the fact that you kept it secret all these years. I walk to my private closet and pull out the garment bag containing my gala outfit, a custom-tailored Alexander McQueen suit worth more than my sister's car. "That's the point," I say, running my hand over the fabric. "They never bothered to really see me. They were too busy telling me who I should be." My phone lights up with another text from Solstice. "Fair warning, Mum's telling everyone you might meet your future husband at this thing, but don't worry, I've got your back." Angela reads the message over my shoulder and snorts. Little does she know you're about to become everyone's favourite success story. I hang the suit back up and return to my desk, where quarterly reports await my signature. Each one represents millions in revenue, hundreds of jobs created, dozens of lives changed. Success was never the goal, I tell Angela. Respect was, and in 9 days they'll have no choice but to give it. My phone buzzes one more time. It's my mother. "Darling, should we have Lauren's stylist help you prepare for the gala?" I text back a single word, "No." Then I turn back to my empire and smile. 9 days can't come soon enough. "And here's our Sadie," Lauren announces to the brunch table like I'm a show pony. She's taking a little break from her IT work to explore new opportunities. We're at the country club for the pre-gala brunch, where my family has apparently decided to rewrite my entire biography. The mimosas aren't strong enough for this. "How brave," Nora comments, cutting into her eggs Benedict. "Starting over at your age." Solstice catches my eye from across the table and makes a subtle throat-slitting gesture at Nora. I hide my smile behind my coffee cup. "Actually," I start to say, but my mother interrupts. "The gala will be wonderful exposure for you, darling. So many successful people attend. Why, last year, Margaret's daughter met her husband there, and he's a surgeon. Speaking of the gala," Nora leans forward, pearls clicking against her water glass. "I heard the anonymous donor saved the entire organisation. Must be nice to have that kind of money to throw around. Some people work hard for their success," Lauren adds pointedly. "Though of course charity work is noble if you can afford to be generous." My phone vibrates. It's Wallace. "Need to talk. Urgent. Press asking questions. Calls ASAP. Excuse me," I stand up. "Work call." "Work?" Lauren's eyebrows shoot up. "I thought you were between projects." I'm already walking away, Solstice's knowing smirk following me to the club's terrace. "Wallace, what's wrong?" "The Times is sniffing around. They've connected some dots about the donation. I need to know. Do you want me to reveal you during my speech, or should we keep it quiet?" I watch through the window as my family continues their discussion, probably planning my future without me. "Stick to the plan, but give me until noon on Saturday to change my mind if needed." Back at the table, my mother is holding court, and she's always been a bit different. Never quite found her path like Lauren did. "Mum," Solstice interrupts, "maybe Aunt Sadie's path just doesn't look like everyone else's." "Sweetie," Lauren pats her daughter's hand, "sometimes adults need guidance to reach their potential. That's why we're here to help Aunt Sadie." "And how's that working out for you?" Solstice mutters under her breath. I sit back down just as Nora starts describing her recent charity work. "It's so rewarding, really connecting with those in need, not just throwing money at problems." The irony nearly makes me choke on my coffee. Last year alone, Hearts and Horizons provided medical care for over 1,000 children, built 3 new facilities and launched a scholarship program, all because of my thrown money. "Sadie," my mother touches my arm, "you're being awfully quiet. Aren't you excited about Saturday?" "Absolutely," I reply, thinking about Wallace's speech. "I think it'll be quite memorable." "That's the spirit," Lauren beams. "And I've arranged for you to sit next to James. He's a wonderful investment banker, recently divorced, but don't let that scare you." "Actually," I say, "I'll be sitting with Solstice." "Oh, but James specifically asked about you. I showed him your Facebook photo." "Mom," Solstice interrupts, "that's creepy and you know it. It's networking, darling, my mother corrects. Something your aunt could learn about. My phone buzzes again. This time it's Angela. Wallace told me about the press. You okay? I text back. Never better. Family's currently planning my arranged marriage to a divorced banker. Speaking of networking, Nora pipes up. Did anyone see the article about that new tech company that's revolutionizing digital security? The CEO is quite mysterious, apparently. I nearly spit out my coffee. She's talking about my company. Some woman who never appears in public, Nora continues. Probably one of those anti-social tech types. Sounds familiar. Lauren glances at me meaningfully. Solstice suddenly stands up. Aunt Sadie, can you help me with my gala dress? I need alterations advice. It's a transparent excuse to escape, but I take it gratefully. Once we're in the club's lobby, Solstice turns to me. You're the donor, aren't you? I freeze. What makes you say that? Please, she rolls her eyes. I'm 17, not stupid. The way you react when they talk about it, how you're always on mysterious work calls, that massive office building downtown with your company's name hidden in tiny letters. You knew about that? I Google people, Aunt Sadie, even my supposedly unsuccessful aunt, who's actually a secret boss lady. Before I can respond, Lauren's voice carries from around the corner. Sadie, the banker wants to meet you before Saturday. Solstice grabs my hand. Don't worry, your secret's safe with me until Saturday. But please tell me I can film their reactions. I squeeze her hand back. Absolutely not. That would be petty. I pause. Angela's already hired a professional photographer. Oh, Sadie, my mother's voice carries across the gala's reception area. You wore a suit. I smooth down my perfectly tailored McQueen, worth more than most cars in the parking lot. I did, but Lauren specifically said... She starts, then forces a smile as other guests walk past. Well, at least it's black tie appropriate. Barely. Solstice appears in a midnight blue gown, her face lighting up when she sees me. Aunt Sadie, you look amazing, like a total boss. Speaking of bosses, Nora slides up, champagne in hand. I just met the most eligible VP from Goldman Sachs. Sadie, you should... Actually, I cut her off. I need to check on some arrangements. Solstice want to help. We escape to a quiet corner near the stage. The ballroom is filling up quickly, executives, philanthropists and social climbers all mixing together under crystal chandeliers. Your mom's going to flip when Wallace makes his speech, Solstice whispers excitedly. How do you think she'll take it? Honestly, she'll probably try to take credit somehow. Oh, we always knew Sadie had potential. Her impression of Lauren is spot on. My phone buzzes. It's Wallace. Ready when you are. Last chance to back out. I text back. All systems go. Sadie! Lauren's voice makes us both jump. She's approaching with a tall man in an expensive but poorly fitted suit. This is James, the investment banker I told you about. James, my sister is between projects right now, but very interested in finance. Actually, I start to correct her, but James talks over me. Banking's complex stuff, but I'd be happy to explain the basics over dinner sometime. Solstice Fake coughs something that sounds suspiciously like mansplaining. That's very kind, I say diplomatically, but I'm quite familiar with finance. Oh, he smirks. Do you handle your own investments? Before I can respond, Fabian appears with a drink in hand. Would have thought you'd work for the charity, not fund it, he says casually, then freezes as he realizes what he's let slip. The colour drains from Lauren's face. What do you mean fund it? Fabian stammers, looking desperately at me. Ladies and gentlemen, Wallace's voice booms through the speakers, saving Fabian from further explanation. If you'll please take your seats, we're about to begin our programme. Lauren grabs my arm as we walk to our table. What did Fabian mean about funding? You should sit down, I tell her. You'll want to be sitting for this. Sadie. Mom, Solstice interrupts. Trust me, sit. We take our seats at the front table, my mother, Lauren, Fabian, Nora, Solstice, and me. Angela catches my eye from her table and gives me a subtle thumbs up. Wallace takes the podium, his charismatic smile capturing the room's attention. Before we recognise our keynote donor, we want to talk about the woman who saved us, a visionary who saw beyond our financial troubles to our true potential. My mother leans over. Probably some bored socialite with inheritance money. Actually, Solstice whispers, you might want to hold that thought. When Hearts and Horizons was on the brink of closing, Wallace continues, this remarkable entrepreneur stepped in, not just with funding, but with a complete technological overhaul of our operations. She created custom software that revolutionized how we track and help children in need. She donated not just money, but innovation. Lauren's eyes narrow. Technology. But perhaps most impressive, Wallace pauses for effect, is how she did all this while building one of the most successful digital security firms in the country. A company that protects millions of people's data every day. A company that, until tonight, operated largely in secret. Nora's champagne glass freezes halfway to her mouth. Ladies and gentlemen, Wallace smiles directly at our table. Please join me in welcoming our keynote speaker, the CEO of Secure Flow Technologies and the woman who saved Hearts and Horizons, Sadie Jordan. The spotlight hits our table. My mother's jaw drops. Lauren's face goes through 5 different emotions in 3 seconds. Nora actually spills her champagne. Solstice grabs my hand under the table and squeezes. Showtime, boss lady. I stand up slowly, straightening my suit jacket. The room erupts in applause, but I barely hear it over the sound of my sister whispering, "That's impossible." As I walk toward the stage, I catch fragments of my family's shocked conversation. But she's just a freelancer. All this time. How did we not know? Wallace extends his hand to help me up the stairs, whispering, ready to shock them even more. I take my place at the podium, looking out over the sea of faces until I find my family's stunned expressions in the front row. "Good evening," I say into the microphone. "I suppose we should talk about those computer stuff projects I've been working on." The giant screens behind me light up with a slideshow. First image, my company's downtown headquarters. Second, our global security operations center. Third, me shaking hands with the CEO of Microsoft after closing $1 billion contract. 10 years ago, I begin, my voice steady despite my racing heart. I started a company in my friend's garage. Today, that company protects the digital assets of over 40% of Fortune 500 companies. My mother's hand is pressed against her chest. Nora is frantically Googling on her phone, probably looking up my net worth. But success isn't just about numbers, I continue. It's about impact. When I learned that Hearts and Horizons was struggling, I saw an opportunity to combine technological innovation with humanitarian goals. The slideshow shifts to images of the children's hospitals and facilities we've helped build. Each photo is a direct punch to my family's carefully constructed narrative about my life. Through custom software solutions and strategic funding, we've helped Hearts and Horizons expand their reach by 300% in just 18 months. I spot Lauren's empty chair. She's disappeared from the table. The truth is, I say, making direct eye contact with my mother, success doesn't always look the way people expect it to. Sometimes it's quiet, sometimes it's invisible, and sometimes... The screen shows a photo of me at last year's Christmas dinner, standing awkwardly in the background while my family posed in their designer clothes. Sometimes it's right in front of you. Solstice starts clapping first, jumping to her feet. The rest of the room follows, but my family remains seated, frozen in shock, except for Lauren's empty chair. Wallace joins me at the podium. Sadie's donation wasn't just money, it was a complete transformation of how we operate. Thanks to her software, we can now track and help children in need with unprecedented efficiency. My phone vibrates in my pocket. Lauren, how could you humiliate us like this? I ignore it as Wallace continues. But perhaps what's most remarkable is how she chose to do this anonymously for so long. Sadie, why reveal yourself now? I lean into the microphone. Because it's time to show that success doesn't need to be loud to be valid. That worth isn't measured by social status or relationship status. That sometimes the person you're underestimating is actually changing the world. Another text buzzes. Mother, we need to talk now. The $50 million donated to Hearts and Horizons, I continue, watching my mother's face pale at the number, represents just a fraction of what we've invested in children's causes worldwide. Because true success isn't about accumulating wealth, it's about using it meaningfully. Nora stands abruptly, wobbling slightly from too much champagne, and hurries toward the exit. Fabian is staring at his plate like it holds the secrets of the universe. And so, I conclude, I'm announcing tonight that Secure Flow Technologies will be establishing a permanent foundation to support children's charities worldwide, starting with $1 billion endowment. The applause is deafening. Oh, Solstice is beaming. My mother looks like she's about to faint. Wallace takes the microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy your dinner. Sadie will be available for questions during the reception. As I return to my seat, Solstice throws her arms around me. That was epic! Mom literally ran away. Where did she go? I ask, though I already know. Probably calling everyone she knows to pretend she was in on it the whole time. Solstice snorts. My mother leans across the table, her voice a harsh whisper. Why didn't you tell us? Do you know how this makes us look? Like you didn't know your own daughter, I suggest quietly. We were trying to help you, she hisses. No, I correct her. You were trying to fix me. There's a difference. Fabian clears his throat. I should probably go find Lauren. Probably, I agree. She's had quite a shock. Learning her unemployed sister is actually her company's biggest security contractor. His face goes pale as he connects the dots. Their bank has been using my software for years. My phone buzzes again. Angela. Lauren's in the bathroom having a meltdown. Want me to record it? No need, I text back. The official photos will be enough. The first course arrives, but nobody at our table touches their food. My mother keeps glancing between me and her phone, probably trying to figure out how to spin this to her social circle. Nora hasn't returned. Solstice breaks the tension. So, Aunt Sadie, about that internship I wanted to ask you about. Absolutely not, Lauren's voice cuts in as she returns, makeup freshly fixed but eyes blazing. You're not working for her. Actually, I say, taking a sip of champagne, I believe that's Solstice's choice, just like it was my choice to build my company my way. This isn't over, Lauren warns. You're right, I agree, standing up as Wallace waves me over to meet some investors. It's just beginning. The reception area buzzes with excitement as I make my rounds. Every few steps, someone new wants to shake my hand or pitch an idea. My family watches from their corner like hawks, huddled together in what appears to be an emergency summit. Miss Jordan, a reporter from the Times approaches, would you say your success was despite your family's lack of support or because of it? Before I can answer, my mother materializes beside me, social smile perfectly in place. Oh, we always knew Sadie had potential. As her mother, I encouraged her independent spirit. Really? I raise an eyebrow. Is that what last week's lecture about wasting my life was about? The reporter's pen moves faster. Darling, my mother hisses through her smile. Perhaps we could discuss this privately. Why? I ask, loud enough for nearby guests to hear. I thought you wanted me to be more visible in society. Lauren approaches, glass of wine clutched too tightly. Sadie, you've made your point. Now stop embarrassing us. Embarrassing you, I laugh, like you embarrassed me at every family dinner, every holiday, every time you introduced me as your still-finding-herself sister. We were trying to help. No, I correct her, you were trying to control me. There's a difference. The reporter is scribbling frantically now. You orchestrated this whole thing, Lauren accuses. The gala, the speech, everything, just to humiliate us. Actually, Wallace joins our group. I orchestrated it. Sadie wanted to stay anonymous, but our board insisted on recognising her publicly. And you didn't think to warn your family, my mother demands, like you warned me before trying to set me up with every eligible bachelor in the tri-state area. Solstice snickers from nearby, where she's been recording everything on her phone despite my previous warnings. I think, Nora suddenly announces, swaying slightly, we should focus on the real scandal here. Everyone turns to look at her. Lauren and Fabian are separated, she blurts out. They have been for months. So maybe we should discuss that instead of Sadie's little tech company. The silence is deafening. Lauren's face goes white. Nora! My mother gasps. Mum? Solstice's voice is small. Is that true? Lauren shoots me a desperate look. For a moment, I consider letting her twist in the wind like she's done to me so many times. But I'm not her. I believe, I say loudly, we were discussing the Foundation's plans for expanding children's healthcare access. Wallace, would you like to elaborate? The reporter takes the hint and redirects his attention to Wallace, while my family's perfect facade continues to crumble. How dare you? Lauren hisses at Nora. How absolutely dare you? Oh, please, Nora slurs, like you haven't been trying to steal attention all night. Poor Sadie, let me help you network. Meanwhile, your own marriage is falling apart. Ladies, my mother attempts damage control. This is hardly the place. Then where is the place? I interrupt. When is it appropriate to discuss reality instead of the perfect image you're so desperate to maintain? You don't understand, my mother starts. No, I understand perfectly. You're not angry that I built something successful. You're angry that I did it without your approval, without following your script. That's not... Then what is it? Because for 10 years, I've watched you treat me like a cautionary tale. The sister who couldn't get it together. The daughter who disappointed. The aunt who needed saving. Lauren wipes at her eyes. We never meant... Yes, you did. Every comment, every setup, every passive-aggressive suggestion. You meant all of it. You just never expected me to be successful enough to call you out. The room has grown quiet, attention shifting to our corner despite Wallace's best efforts to distract them. So, what now? My mother asks, her voice small. You've made your point. You've shown everyone how wrong we were. Are you happy? I look around the room, at the charity workers whose jobs I've saved, at the children's photos on the displays, at Solstice watching me with admiration instead of pity. This was never about happiness, I tell them. It was about respect, something you never thought to give me until I forced you to. My phone buzzes. It's Angela. Local news wants an interview. Ready to go fully public? I look at my family, my mother's crumbling composure, Lauren's mascara-streaked face, Nora's drunken defiance, and Solstice's proud smile. Yes, I text back, it's time to be impossible to ignore. As I walk away to meet the news crew, I hear Solstice tell her mother, for what it's worth, I want that internship, and there's nothing you can do to stop me. I smile. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just success, it's inspiring the next generation to break free too. The video hit 2 million views overnight, Wallace says, sliding his tablet across his desk to me. You're trending on Twitter. It's been 3 days since the gala, and I'm hiding out in Wallace's office at Hearts and Horizons, watching my carefully constructed privacy crumble in real time. Tech CEO destroys family's classist expectations is the top headline, he continues. The internet loves you. My mother hasn't spoken to me since Saturday, I tell him. Lauren sent a text apologising, but it felt calculated? Exactly. I pull up the message on my phone. I'm sorry if we made you feel undervalued. We should discuss this as a family. Also, Solstice won't stop talking about the internship. The door bursts open and Angela strides in. Your cousin Nora just posted a 12-part Instagram story about how she always believed in you and knew you were destined for greatness. The same Nora who called me a hermit last week. The very same, Angela drops into a chair. Also, 3 marriage proposals in your business email this morning, all from investment bankers. Delete them, I say, and any messages from my family's social circle. I'm not interested in people who only want to know me now. My phone buzzes. It's solstice. Mum's organising a family meeting to discuss recent events. Pretty sure it's code for damage control. You coming? No, I text back. I have actual work to do. Thank God, she replies. They're all freaking out about the press coverage. Grandma keeps saying, this isn't how we handle things in this family. Wallace clears his throat. Speaking of handling things, the foundation board wants to meet next week. They're excited about your vision for expanding our tech integration. At least someone is, I mutter. You know, Angela says gently, you could take some time off, maybe travel. The company can run without you for a few weeks. Before I can respond, my office phone rings. It's Lauren. Sadie, please, just come to dinner tonight. Mother's beside herself. I'm busy. Doing what? Running your secret empire? Her attempt at humour falls flat. Actually, yes, some of us have real work instead of charity galas and social climbing. That's not fair, she protests. We're trying here. Trying to what? Repair your image, control the narrative, make sure everyone knows you're still the perfect daughter despite your failing marriage. Silence on the line. That was low, she finally says. Lower than 10 years of constant criticism? We didn't know. You never asked, I snap. You never once asked what I was really doing, what I was building. You were too busy telling me what I should be doing instead. Wallace and Angela quietly slip out of the office, giving me privacy. I sent you an apology, Lauren says weakly. No, you sent me a PR statement. There's a difference. Another text from Solstice pops up. They wanted me to convince you to come tonight. I told them to shove it. Also, when can I start that internship? Despite everything, I smile. Sadie, Lauren's still on the line. What do you want from us? Nothing, I realise. I don't want anything from you anymore. That's the point. I'm done seeking your approval or accepting your judgment. So that's it. You're just cutting us off. No, I'm setting boundaries. If you want to be part of my life, you'll need to accept me as I am, not as you think I should be. And Solstice's internship? That's between me and her. She's old enough to make her own choices, like you did, exactly like I did. After hanging up, I walked to the window overlooking the children's playground. Hearts and Horizons built with my donation. Kids are playing, laughing, living their lives without worry about social expectations or family approval. My phone buzzes again. This time it's my mother. Darling, please reconsider dinner tonight. We need to present a united front to the community. I don't respond. Another text arrives from Angela. Paris Fashion Week is next month. I've already booked our tickets. No family drama allowed. Then Solstice. They wanted Cinderella to marry a prince, but instead you bought the damn palace. You're my hero, Aunt Sadie. I look at the playground again, then at my reflection in the window. No longer the quiet, overlooked sister, but the woman I chose to become. Wallace, I call out. He pokes his head back in. Schedule that board meeting. I have some ideas about expanding our impact. Running away from family drama by throwing yourself into work? He asks, knowingly. No, I correct him, building something meaningful despite it. There's a difference. He grins. That's my favourite billionaire philanthropist. Speaking of which, I say, let's talk about building a few more playgrounds. Miss Sadie, a small voice calls out as I walk through the Hearts and Horizons Community Centre. Look what I made in coding class. Maria, one of our regular kids, runs up with a tablet showing a simple but working game she created. The coding program was my latest addition to the centre, teaching tech skills to underprivileged children. This is incredible, I tell her, examining her work. You're a natural programmer. Like you? She beams. Before I can respond, the front doors open. My mother walks in, looking out of place in her designer outfit. Excuse me, Maria, keep coding. I want to see what you create next. I meet my mother halfway across the lobby. It's been 3 weeks since the gala. This is not what I expected, she says, looking around at the bustling activity centre. What did you expect? I don't know. Something more corporate? This is so real, I suggest. Human? She nods slowly. Lauren told me you wouldn't come to dinner, so I thought maybe I should see what keeps you so busy. Mum, no, let me finish. She straightens her spine. I've been doing a lot of thinking and watching those videos of us at the gala, how we treated you. It was enlightening and mortifying. A group of teenagers passes by, heading to the computer lab. They wave at me and I wave back. They all know you, my mother observes. I'm here 3 days a week. These kids matter to me. More than your family. Different than family, I correct her. They see me for who I am, not who they think I should be. She flinches but nods. I deserve that. It's not about deserving, Mom. It's about understanding. Then help me understand. Show me what you've built here. I study her face, looking for the usual judgment or hidden agenda. For once, I see neither. Follow me, I say. We tour the facility, the coding labs, the medical clinic, the education centre. At each stop, kids and staff greet me by name, share updates, ask questions. My mother watches it all silently. Aunt Sadie, Solstice's voice rings out. She's at her desk in the teen mentoring section where she's been interning part-time after school. Oh, hi, Grandma. You're really working here? My mother asks, surprised. Best job ever, Solstice grins. I'm learning more than I ever did at those charity luncheons you love so much. Solstice, I warn gently. Sorry, she says, not looking sorry at all. But it's true. Aunt Sadie's teaching me that success isn't just about appearances. My mother's face softens. She always was the smart one. We just didn't see it. Mom, don't... No, Sadie, let me say this. She turns to face me fully. We were wrong, not just about your success, but about everything. We were so focused on our version of perfection that we missed how perfect you already were. I don't need perfect, I tell her. I just need real. Real is good, Solstice chimes in. Real built this place. My phone buzzes. It's Lauren. Just signed my divorce papers. You were right. Time to stop pretending. Everything okay? My mother asks, noting my expression. Lauren's getting divorced, I say. She's finally doing what's right for her instead of what looks right to others. My mother absorbs this. Perhaps you've taught us all something about authenticity. Speaking of teaching, Solstice interrupts, the coding class needs another instructor. Know any successful tech CEOs who might be interested? I laugh. I might know someone. I'd like to learn too, my mother says quietly. Not coding, but about your world, the real one, not the one I imagined for you. There's a board meeting tomorrow, I offer. You could attend, see what we're planning next. I'd like that. Maria runs up again, tablet in hand. Miss Sadie, I added another level to my game. Show me, I say, then turn to my mother. Want to see what real success looks like? She nods and we gather around Maria's tablet. As the young girl excitedly explains her code, I catch my mother's eye. There's something new there. Not pride in the daughter she wanted me to be, but respect for the woman I am. My phone buzzes again. Angela, Paris still on for next week? Yes, I text back, but I might have some company. Turns out the best revenge isn't living well or being impossible to ignore. It's showing others how to be real too. Aunt Sadie, Solstice calls out, Maria's got a bug in her code. Want to show us both how to fix it? I smile. Always. Because that's the thing about success. It's not about proving others wrong. It's about proving yourself right, one authentic moment at a time. I should have known something was wrong when Mom texted family meeting with 3 exclamation points. She never uses exclamation points. Not for birthdays, not for Christmas, not even for Ava's engagement announcements, all 3 of them. My name is Esme, and this is the story of how my family stole my future, and how I took it back with interest. I'd just finished my last tutoring session of the day, helping a freshman understand derivatives. Math always made sense to me, clean, logical, predictable. Unlike family dynamics, the kitchen was unusually quiet when I walked in, despite everyone being there. Mum sat straight-backed at the head of the table, Dad slouched beside her, and Ava, my perfect older sister, practically vibrated with barely contained excitement. "Sit down, dear," Mum said, using her society dinner voice. "We need to discuss something important." I dropped my backpack and slid into a chair, already feeling my stomach knot. The last time we had a family meeting, they announced Ava's 2nd divorce. "As you know," Mom continued, "Ava and Yusuf are planning their wedding for this summer. It's going to be spectacular." She smiled at Ava, who preened, "A proper yacht ceremony followed by a reception at the Marina Club." "Okay," I said, wondering why this required a meeting. I'd already heard about the yacht thing at least 50 times. "Well," Dad cleared his throat, still not meeting my eyes. "The thing is, Princess, these kinds of events, they're not cheap." "The yacht alone is 40,000, Ava chimed in, examining her manicure. "But Yusuf's family expects nothing less." The number hit me like a punch to the gut. 40,000, exactly the amount in my college fund. "No," I whispered, but I already knew. "Now, Esme," Mum's voice took on that patronising tone I'd grown to hate. "We've thought this through carefully. You're smart, you'll figure something out. Community college is always an option. But Ava, she has real potential here. This marriage could set her up for life. Like the last 2 did." The words slipped out before I could stop them. Ava's eyes narrowed. "At least I have prospects. What's your plan? Teach math to losers forever?" "That's enough," Dad said weakly, but nobody listened. "We're not asking your permission," Mom said firmly. "The decision is made. The money has already been transferred." My entire body went cold. You already did it? Without even telling me?" "Oh," Ava brightened suddenly. "But if you can scrape together enough for the bridesmaid dress, it's only 2,000. You can still be part of the wedding party. I mean, if you want to." I looked at each of their faces. Mom's stern certainty, Dad's guilty avoidance, Ava's smug smile. These people were supposed to be my family. They were supposed to believe in me. "When?" My voice came out steadier than I felt. "When did you decide this?" "Last week," Mom replied. "After Yusuf's parents insisted on the yacht venue, we had to act quickly to secure the date." I stood up slowly, my chair scraping against the floor. "I've been working since I was 15 to add to that fund. 3 years of weekends and summers. My money is in there too." "Don't be dramatic," Ava rolled her eyes. "It's not like you had real plans for it anyway." "But I did. I had acceptance letters from 3 universities sitting in my email. I had a dream of studying applied mathematics, of breaking free from this suffocating house, of proving I was more than their backup child." "Esme," Mum's voice hardened, "sit down. We're not finished." "Yes," I said quietly, "we are." I walked out of the kitchen, up the stairs, into my room. I heard them calling after me, but I didn't stop. With trembling fingers, I opened my laptop and navigated to my university application portal. One by one, I declined each acceptance. They disappeared from the screen like dying stars. Then I opened a new tab and typed "Most Prestigious Academic Scholarships USA." The results loaded. A list of opportunities I'd never considered before. I didn't need their money. I didn't need their approval. What I needed was to show them exactly what they'd thrown away. My phone buzzed. A text from Philip. "Hey, how'd the family meeting go?" I stared at the message for a long moment before replying, "They took everything, but they're about to learn that was their biggest mistake." Downstairs I could hear Ava laughing about wedding flowers. Mom was probably already calling her friends to brag about the yacht. Dad would be in his study, pretending nothing had happened. Fine, let them have their perfect wedding fantasy. I had work to do. I opened the first scholarship application and began to type. "They want me to write her vows," I told Philip, staring into my now cold coffee. "Can you believe that?" she said, and I quote, "You're good with words and I'm too busy picking centerpieces." We were sitting in our usual corner of the campus coffee shop where I'd picked up extra barista shifts. Between that, tutoring, and my freelance math problem-solving gig, I was barely keeping my head above water. But every spare moment went into scholarship applications. Philip leaned back in his chair, his expression darkening. "Tell her to write her own damn vows. You're not her personal Hallmark card." I did. I smiled grimly. She went crying to Mom about how unsupportive I'm being. Now I'm selfish and jealous of her special day. "God, your sister's a piece of work." He paused, watching me carefully. "How many applications have you submitted so far?" 17. The Hughes Bradley is the big one. Full ride, plus living expenses. But it's basically impossible to get. "Nothing's impossible for spite-motivated Esme," he grinned. The bell above the door chimed and my stomach dropped as Ava swept in with her best friend Vanessa in tow. Both wore designer workout gear despite clearly not having exercised. "Esme!" Ava called out too loudly. "There you are. Mum's been trying to reach you about the cake tasting." "I'm working," I said flatly, gesturing to my apron. "You're sitting and chatting," she countered, sliding uninvited into our booth. Vanessa followed, forcing Philip to scoot over. "Anyway, we need you there. Someone has to take notes, and you're so detail-oriented." Translation: "You need a servant," Philip muttered. Ava's perfectly shaped eyebrows drew together. "Excuse me?" "Nothing," I cut in quickly. "Ava, I can't. I have 3 scholarship essays due this week. Still on about college," she sighed dramatically. "Mom said you should take a gap year anyway. Help with the wedding, figure out what you really want." "I know what I want." "Do you?" She leaned forward, her voice dropping to a stage whisper. "Because from where I'm sitting, you're just angry and trying to prove something. It's not attractive, Esme." "Neither is being on your 3rd marriage before 30, Philip shot back. Vanessa choked on her drink. Ava's face flushed red. "You know what?" I stood up, untying my apron. "My shift's over. I have an essay to write about overcoming adversity. Thanks for giving me such rich material to work with." "Wait," Vanessa called as I headed for the door. "Before you go, did you hear back from Yusuf about postponing the rehearsal dinner? He's been weird about scheduling lately." Ava's head snapped around. "What do you mean, weird?" "Oh, just..." Vanessa shifted uncomfortably. "Cooper mentioned running into him at the golf club, said he seemed stressed about something." "Cooper?" I paused. "Your ex, Cooper?" "It's not... We just talk sometimes," Ava said quickly, too quickly, for closure. I caught the flash of guilt in her eyes, the way her hand instinctively went to her phone. "Interesting." "Right," I said slowly. "Well, good luck with the cake tasting. I'm sure whatever you pick will be perfect." Outside, Philip caught up with me. "Did you see that, when Vanessa mentioned Cooper?" "Yeah." I pulled out my phone, opening my scholarship essay draft. "Hey, want to help me polish this? It's about the impact of betrayal on personal growth." He grinned. "You're evil. I love it." That night, I sat cross-legged on my bed, surrounded by application materials. Mum's voice drifted up from downstairs, gushing to someone about yacht decorations. My phone buzzed with a text from Ava. "Fine, I'll write my own stupid vows, but you're still doing the wedding toast." I ignored it, focusing instead on the essay before me. The prompt asked about a defining moment that shaped our character. My fingers hovered over the keyboard before I began. Trust is a currency we're taught to invest in family. But what happens when those meant to protect your dreams become the ones who destroy them? This is a story about betrayal, resilience, and the cost of believing in yourself when no one else will. 3 hours and 5 drafts later, I hit submit on the Hughes-Bradley application. As if on cue, a notification popped up on my phone, a social media alert I'd set for Ava's name. She'd been tagged in a photo at the golf club from 2 days ago. In the background, barely visible but unmistakable, was Cooper. I saved the photo, started a new document, and labelled it Plan B, because sometimes karma needs a little help, and I was getting very good at helping it along. My phone buzzed again, Mom demanding I come down to discuss bridesmaid duties. I turned it off and went back to work. They thought they could write off my future. I was about to show them exactly how wrong they were. It took 3 days of careful digging to find what I needed. Ava wasn't just talking to Cooper sometimes. They were meeting regularly at the country club, always when Yusuf was tied up with his development projects. But it was their late-night messages that told the real story. "Found something interesting?" Philip asked, sliding into the library seat next to me. I angled my laptop screen to show him the screenshot Vanessa had accidentally sent to our group chat, instead of just Ava, Cooper and Ava, looking very cosy at a hidden corner table. "Vanessa deleted it seconds later," I said, "but not before I saved it." "Holy shit!" He leaned closer. "Are you going to tell Yusuf?" I shook my head. "Better. I'm going to let him find out himself." My phone lit up with a text from Mom. "Wedding planner meeting in an hour. Mandatory family attendance." "Go," Philip urged. "Keep your cover. I'll finish setting up the anonymous email account." The wedding planner's office was all white furniture and fresh flowers. Ava sat in the centre of the room like a queen holding court, while Mom fawned over fabric swatches. Dad stared at his phone, probably checking his dwindling bank balance. "Nice of you to join us," Ava said sharply. "We're discussing the yacht layout." "Fascinating," I muttered, taking the furthest seat possible. The planner, a woman with too bright lipstick, spread out some diagrams. "Now, about the ceremony positioning. Yusuf's father has some concerns about—" Ava's phone chimed. Her face went pale as she read whatever message had come through. "Everything okay, sweetie?" Mum asked. "Fine," Ava snapped, typing furiously. "Just wedding stress." I hid my smile. Right on schedule, the anonymous tip about suspicious meetings at the country club would be hitting Yusuf's inbox, along with some carefully selected screenshots of late-night messages between his fiancée and her ex. The planner droned on about seating arrangements while I watched Ava grow increasingly agitated. Her phone kept buzzing. Finally, she stood up abruptly. "I need to make a call," she announced, hurrying out. I excused myself to use the bathroom, following quietly. Through the crack of the fire exit door, I could hear her panicked voice. "Cooper, you need to delete everything." "No, I don't care if you miss me. Yusuf's asking questions. Of course I still want the wedding. Do you know how much money—" She stopped short, realising what she'd said. I pulled out my phone and pressed record. Mum found me later that evening, organising scholarship documents in my room. "Ava's upset," she said, hovering in the doorway. "Apparently Yusuf is having doubts about the wedding date." "Really?" I kept my voice neutral. "That must be stressful. It would help if you showed more support. This wedding is important for all of us. Like my education was supposed to be." She sighed that martyred sigh she'd perfected over the years. "We've been through this. Sometimes in life we have to make sacrifices for family." Funny how I'm the only one sacrificing. "Actually," she brightened suddenly, "I have good news. If you help more with the wedding, we might be able to spare a few thousand for community college courses." I looked up from my papers. Too late. I already have other plans. What plans? As if on cue, my email notification chimed. I opened it, scanning quickly, then smiled. I've been shortlisted for the Hughes Bradley Academic Excellence Award. The what? Only the most prestigious scholarship in the state. Full interview panel next week. I met her eyes. You should Google it. The grant amount is quite impressive. Her expression shifted from dismissal to calculation in seconds. Why didn't you tell us you were applying for scholarships? Like you told me about taking my college fund? Before she could respond, Ava's voice shrieked from downstairs. He wants to postpone. 6 months minimum. Mom rushed out, leaving me alone with my victory. I pulled out my phone to text Philip. Phase 1 complete. Yusuf's having doubts, Ava's spiralling, and I just made the Hughes Bradley shortlist. His response came quickly. Karma's got nothing on you, but you know they'll try to take credit if you win, right? I glanced at my scholarship essay, the one about family betrayal that had caught the committee's attention. Let them try. This time I'm writing my own story. Downstairs I could hear Ava crying about wedding deposits and reputation. Mom was probably already calling her society friends to do damage control. Perfect timing for phase 2. The local newspaper article came out on a Tuesday. Small town student among elite Hughes Bradley finalists. They'd used my senior photo, the one where I actually smiled, the one Mom had called too serious for the family Christmas card. Have you seen this? A printed copy slapped down on the coffee shop table where Philip and I were studying. Mum stood there, clutching her designer handbag like a shield. Why didn't you tell us it was this big? Would it have mattered 3 weeks ago? Don't be difficult, Esme. This is wonderful news. I've already called the country club. They want to do a feature on you for the newsletter. I looked up from my textbook. The same country club where Ava's been meeting her ex? Mum's smile flickered. That's just a misunderstanding. Yusuf and Ava are working things out. Sure they are. Actually, she pressed on, sliding into the booth uninvited, I had an idea. For your final interview, they mentioned something about a speech. They did. Well, I thought you could talk about the importance of family support, how we've always encouraged your academic pursuits. Philip choked on his coffee. I kicked him under the table. That's an interesting suggestion, I said carefully. Almost as interesting as last month's family meeting. Mum's face tightened. Esme, what happened with the wedding fund was a practical decision. But look how well it turned out. You're achieving things on your own merit, because you left me no choice. Mrs. Wilson, Philip cut in, his voice dripping with fake sweetness, didn't you tell Esme she should consider being a waitress instead of wasting time on university applications? Mom stood up abruptly. I never said that exactly. Anyway, the television station wants to do a preliminary interview tomorrow. Wear something nice, not your usual this, she gestured vaguely at my clothes. And please try to sound grateful. After she left, Philip turned to me. Television interview? The Hughes Bradley Committee likes publicity. Apparently my essay about overcoming family betrayal through academic excellence really resonated. They have no idea it's still happening in real time, do they? My phone buzzed. A text from Ava. Mum says you're going to be on TV. Don't forget to mention your successful sister's upcoming society wedding. I showed Philip the message. Should I tell her Yusuf just cancelled the yacht deposit? How do you even know that? I might have set up email alerts for cancellations at the marina. I shrugged. Plus, Vanessa drunk texted me last night about Ava's meltdown over it. The next day, the TV crew set up in our living room. Mum had rearranged everything to hide Dad's worn armchair and Ava's scattered wedding magazines. She'd even put out fresh flowers. So Esme, the reporter began, tell us about your journey to the Hughes Bradley finals. I smiled directly into the camera. It's been enlightening. Sometimes life forces you to stand on your own feet, usually when you least expect it. Your family must be very proud. Oh, yes, Mom interjected from off camera. We've always known Esme was special. Really? I turned to her. Is that why you suggested community college might be more my speed? The reporter perked up. There's a story there. No, Mum said quickly. Esme, remember what we discussed about family support? I faced the camera again. You know what? There is a story. It's about believing in yourself when no one else will. About turning betrayal into motivation. Cut, the reporter called. This is gold. Can we explore that angle more? Mum's face had gone pale. Behind her, Ava appeared in the doorway, looking thunderous. Actually, I said, I should save the full story for the award ceremony. I hear it's going to be broadcast live. Later that night, as clips from my interview started circulating on local social media, Ava cornered me in the kitchen. You think you're so clever, she hissed, but you're just jealous. You always have been. Jealous of what? Your third failed engagement? She grabbed my arm. Yusuf and I are fine. We're just reorganizing things. Like you're reorganizing things with Cooper? Her face went white. How did you... Next time you meet him at the country club, I pulled free of her grip. Try not to sit near windows. Anyone could take a photo. You wouldn't dare. You're right, I smiled. I wouldn't. But karma's funny that way. It has its own timing. My phone chimed, an email from the Hughes Bradley Committee about the final round. The subject line read, Ceremony details, live broadcast confirmed. Better start writing your speech, Ava spat, storming out. Oh, I already had, and unlike her wedding vows, every word of it was true. Make it authentic, Mary Palmer said, adjusting her glasses as she reviewed my draft speech. The committee chose you because your story resonated. Don't hold back now. I shifted in the leather chair across from her desk. As head of the scholarship committee, Mary had become an unexpected ally, scheduling extra mentoring sessions under the guise of speech preparation. My family might be watching, I said. Good, she handed back the papers. Let them watch, let them learn. Before I could respond, my phone lit up with multiple texts from Vanessa. Emergency, Ava's bridal shower drama, need you here now. Go. Mary waved me off. But remember, authenticity wins over diplomacy every time. I found Vanessa outside the country club's private room, looking frazzled. Music and forced laughter drifted through the doors. Thank God, she grabbed my arm. Ava's 3 champagnes in and getting scary. Yusuf's mother just called to say she's too busy to attend. Shocking, I muttered, following her inside. Ava held court at the centre table, surrounded by expensive gifts and nervous-looking bridesmaids. Her mascara was slightly smudged. Finally, she called out. My baby sister decided to grace us with her presence. Too busy being a genius? Actually, nobody cares about your scholarship, she snapped, then immediately forced a laugh. I'm kidding. We're so proud. Right, girls? The bridesmaids nodded mechanically. 2 hours of painful games and passive-aggressive gift opening later, most guests had fled. Vanessa, increasingly tipsy, cornered me by the dessert table. You know what's funny? She slurred, glancing around conspiratorially. This whole thing is your fault. Excuse me? The wedding? Ava only pushed for the yacht thing after you got those university acceptance letters. She hiccuped. Said she couldn't let you outshine her. Told your parents you'd probably drop out anyway, waste their money. My hand tightened around my glass. She what? Oh, shit. Vanessa's eyes widened. I wasn't supposed to tell you that. She made me promise. After she convinced your parents. Convinced them to do what? To give her your fund. Vanessa looked close to tears. She said you deserved it, getting all high and mighty with your academic achievements. Said she needed it more. Across the room, Ava was berating a waiter about warm champagne. Mom hovered nearby, trying to smooth things over. When? My voice came out eerily calm. When did she start planning this? Right after your MIT acceptance email. Vanessa grabbed another champagne. She saw it open on your laptop when she borrowed it that weekend. got scared you'd actually leave, be successful, so she gestured vaguely, handled it. The room seemed to tilt slightly. All those months I'd blamed my parents, and meanwhile Ava had orchestrated everything. "Vanessa!" Ava's sharp voice cut across the room. "Stop monopolizing my sister." "Coming!" Vanessa stumbled away, then turned back. "Don't tell her I told you. She'll kill me." I walked over to where Mom was now attempting to salvage the gift-wrapping paper from Ava's destruction. "Need help?" I asked. "Oh, would you?" Mom smiled, relieved. "And maybe talk to your sister? She's been so stressed since Yusuf's family started acting strange." "Sure." I gathered some ribbons. "Hey, Mum, quick question. Who actually suggested using my college fund for the wedding first? You or Ava?" Her hands stilled. We all discussed it." "Really? When?" "Esme, what does it matter now? You're doing so well on your own." "The scholarship..." "Just answer the question." She wouldn't meet my eyes. "Ava mentioned that perhaps university wasn't the best path for you, that you seemed uncertain." "Uncertain?" I laughed quietly. "I had 3 acceptance letters. She said you were having doubts, that you'd be happier starting smaller, staying close to home." I stood up, letting the ribbons fall. "And you believed her, without even asking me." "Esme!" "It's fine." I pulled out my phone, opening my email. I just needed to confirm something for my speech, the one that's being broadcast live next week. Her face paled. "What are you planning to say?" "The truth." I headed for the door, pausing briefly. "By the way, you might want to check Ava's phone, specifically her messages with Cooper, before Yusuf's family does." Outside, I called Philip. "How was the shower?" he asked. "Educational." I started walking, needing to move. "Remember how we wondered who really orchestrated taking my college fund?" "No way!" "Yes way!" "And now I know exactly how I'm ending my speech." I smiled grimly. "They wanted me to be authentic. They're about to get their wish." Behind me, I could hear Ava's voice rising in another champagne-fueled tantrum. Soon, she'd have much bigger problems than warm drinks and missing future in-laws. The countdown to the ceremony had begun. The Hughes Bradley Ceremony Hall buzzed with anticipation. Local news crews set up their equipment while academic dignitaries mingled with donors. I stood backstage, watching through a gap in the curtains as my family filed into their reserved front row seats. "Nervous?" Philip appeared beside me, adjusting his tie. "Not anymore." I showed him my phone, another series of desperate texts from Ava about Yusuf's growing suspicions. "Some things matter more than nerves. Your sister looks like she's about to explode." He wasn't wrong. Ava sat rigid in her chair, compulsively checking her phone. Mum kept trying to fix her hair while Dad stared straight ahead, probably calculating the cost of cancelling wedding vendors. 5 minutes, Miss Wilson," a stage manager called out. Mary Palmer approached, clipboard in hand. "Remember what we discussed. Your story deserves to be heard." The ceremony began with the usual speeches, board members congratulating themselves, donors highlighting their generosity. Finally, the committee chairman stepped up to the podium. "This year's recipient exemplifies everything the Hughes Bradley Award represents. Through extraordinary circumstances, she maintained academic excellence while demonstrating remarkable resilience." Mom was already half standing, ready to start, accepting congratulations. Ava's phone buzzed again. She jumped like she'd been shocked. "Please welcome Esme Wilson." The applause felt distant as I walked onto the stage. Under the bright lights, I could see every detail of my family's faces. Mom's proud smile, too little, too late. Dad's awkward clapping, Ava's barely concealed scowl. "Thank you," I began, unfolding my speech. "I wasn't supposed to be here today. In fact, I was told I had no potential." The audience quieted. In the front row, Mom's smile froze. 3 months ago, I had a different future planned. I had acceptance letters from 3 universities. I had a college fund I'd contributed to since I was 15. I had dreams. Ava shifted uncomfortably. Her phone lit up again, probably another message from Cooper. Then I learned an important lesson about family. Sometimes the people meant to support you are the ones who tear you down. Sometimes your own sister, I paused, meeting Ava's eyes directly, decides your future is worth sacrificing for her third wedding. A murmur ran through the crowd. Mum half rose, as if to stop me, but Dad pulled her back down. My college fund was taken without my knowledge or consent. $40,000 redirected to pay for a yacht wedding venue. When I objected, I was told to consider waitressing, to be realistic, to know my place. The news cameras moved closer. This wasn't the usual grateful scholarship speech they'd expected. But here's what my family didn't understand. When you strip someone of everything, you also strip away their reason to hold back. When you tell someone they're nothing, you give them the freedom to become anything. Ava's phone buzzed again. She grabbed her purse, looking ready to bolt. So I applied for every scholarship I could find. I worked 3 jobs. I turned betrayal into fuel. And now I'm standing here, proving that sometimes the people who try to break you actually make you unbreakable. In the audience, Mary Palmer nodded approvingly. Mum had her head in her hands. This award isn't just about academic achievement. It's about surviving when the odds are stacked against you. It's about... Ava suddenly stood up, phone pressed to her ear, and rushed toward the exit. Through the open door, I caught a glimpse of Yusuf standing there, his face thunderous. It's about karma, I continued smoothly, and justice, and learning that success is the best revenge. The applause that followed was deafening. As I accepted the award, I saw Mom trying to follow Ava while simultaneously maintaining her social composure. Dad just looked defeated. Backstage afterward, Philip hugged me tight. That was beautiful, and Yusuf showing up, perfect timing. Almost like someone made sure he knew about the ceremony, I smiled, and about certain messages on Ava's phone. You're terrifying. I love it. My phone buzzed. A text from Vanessa. OMG, Yusuf just called everything off. Ava's hysterical. Your mom's having a meltdown in the bathroom. Karma's funny that way, I said, showing Philip the message. Sometimes it needs a little push, but once it starts rolling... Through the curtain, I could still hear the buzz of conversation, the news crews packing up their equipment. My story would be all over local media by tonight. Ready to face them? Philip asked. I tucked the scholarship certificate into my folder, right next to my new university acceptance letter. They're the ones who need to be ready. This was just the beginning. The real show was about to start. The aftermath exploded faster than even I had anticipated. By midnight, my speech had gone viral on 3 different social platforms. Local news ran with the headline, Scholar exposes family betrayal in acceptance speech. But it was the country club gossip circuit that delivered the final blow. They're calling it the scandal of the season, Vanessa told me over coffee the next morning. Her eyes were red from crying. Yusuf's family is demanding their gifts back. The yacht company won't refund the deposit, and those messages between Ava and Cooper, all of them got leaked, I asked innocently. Someone anonymously forwarded everything to Yusuf's entire family, even the intimate ones. She shuddered. Ava's locked herself in her room. Your mum had to cancel her charity board meeting because nobody would sit with her. My phone buzzed. Dad calling for the 5th time. I declined it. You know what's crazy? Vanessa continued, stirring her latte. People keep sharing clips of your speech, talking about how inspiring it is. Like rich kids are actually posting about giving their college funds back to their siblings. I smiled. Karma's going mainstream. The bell above the coffee shop door chimed. Mum walked in, looking distinctly unput together for the first time in my memory. When she spotted me, she made a beeline for our table. Esme, she said, her voice tight, we need to talk. I'm busy. Your sister is devastated. The wedding is cancelled. Our reputation is exactly what you deserve. I cut in. How's it feel to be the family everyone's talking about? Vanessa suddenly found her phone fascinating. We made a mistake, Mom admitted, sliding into an empty chair. We should have discussed the money with you, but to humiliate us publicly, to destroy your sister's engagement. I didn't destroy anything. Ava did that herself, with Cooper's help, of course. She told me what you did, setting up that email account, tracking her messages. Like she tracked my university acceptances. I leaned forward. Yeah, Vanessa told me all about that. How Ava saw my MIT letter and decided to sabotage my future. How she convinced you I wasn't worth investing in. Mum's face went pale. That's not... She wouldn't... Check your phone, I said. Someone just posted screenshots of her messages about it in the country club Facebook group. Fascinating reading. As if on cue, her phone started buzzing with notifications. She pulled it out, scrolling with shaking hands. I watched her expression crumble as she read. Oh, God, she whispered. I have to go. Vanessa stood up abruptly. Ava's calling. Again. After she left, Mum looked at me with tears in her eyes. We can fix this. Return the money. Too late. I start at MIT in the fall. Full ride, thanks to Hughes Bradley. But your sister has 2 failed marriages, a cancelled 3rd engagement, and a leaked affair to deal with. Sounds like a her problem. We're still your family. No, I stood up, gathering my things. You're the people who taught me that success is the best revenge. Congratulations. I learned that lesson perfectly. Outside, Philip was waiting. How'd it go? Better than expected. Want to help me pack for college? My phone buzzed again, this time with a message from Ava. You ruined everything. I hope you're happy. I typed back, actually I am. BTW Cooper just went live on Instagram. Might want to check that out. We drove past the country club on our way home. The parking lot was full, probably an emergency board meeting about the scandal. Dad's car was there, no doubt trying to salvage what remained of their social standing. You know what's funny? I told Philip as we passed. They thought taking my college fund was the end of my story. Turns out it was just the beginning. Remind me never to cross you, he laughed. My phone lit up with a news alert. Local wedding scandal exposes social elite. Full story tonight at 6. Perfect timing. Just when the country club happy hour would be starting. I wondered if they'd be serving karma on the rocks. Ready for the next chapter? Philip asked. I looked at my phone one last time before turning it off. Mum was still typing, probably crafting another plea for family unity. Ava's Instagram had gone private. Dad's name was trending in local Twitter discussions about toxic family dynamics. You know what? I smiled. For the first time in my life, I actually am. The sun was setting over the country club as we drove away, casting long shadows over the perfectly manicured lawn where Ava's wedding was supposed to happen. But I wasn't looking back anymore. Some people collect seashells or stamps. I collected consequences, and my collection was finally complete. Last box, Philip announced, setting down a container labelled books in my new dorm room. Want to grab dinner before I head back? Through the window, I could see other freshmen and their families unloading cars, sharing tearful hugs. My own family's absence felt less like a wound now, and more like a clean break. Actually, I pulled out my phone, I have one last thing to do first. Mum's latest voicemail played on speaker. Esme, please, the country club board is meeting tomorrow about our membership. Your father's business partners are asking questions. Can't we just talk? Still no response? Philip asked. Nope, but I did get this. I showed him an email from Vanessa. Ava moved back in with your parents. Cooper ghosted her after the Instagram live confession. She's telling everyone she's finding herself, but mostly she's just drinking wine and watching reality TV. Karma's really putting in overtime with your family. My laptop pinged. A news alert about Dad's development company losing investors after the scandal. Apparently, social humiliation was bad for business. Ready? Philip gestured to my phone. I nodded, opening my drafts folder. The message I'd been crafting for days sat there waiting. Not an apology, they didn't deserve that. But maybe something like closure. To Mom, Dad, Ava. Subject, goodbye. You taught me 3 valuable lessons. 1, never trust family with your dreams. 2, success is the best revenge. 3, sometimes losing everything is how you find yourself. Thank you for these gifts. They were expensive, about $40,000 worth, but ultimately priceless. Don't contact me again. Don't try to explain or apologize. Your actions spoke louder than any words could. Mum, enjoy explaining to your society friends why your daughter's viral speech keeps resurfacing in social justice discussions. Dad, good luck rebuilding your business reputation. Maybe start with rebuilding your backbone. Ava, I hear 3rd time's the charm with marriages. Oh wait, I'm blocking your numbers after this. Consider it my wedding gift to myself. The freedom from toxic family ties. Esme P.S. The country club board might be interested in those screenshots of Ava admitting she orchestrated the whole college fund theft. Just saying. Send it, Philip asked. I hit the button. Sent. How does it feel? Before I could answer, my phone exploded with notifications. Mom calling, Dad texting, Ava sending multiple messages in all caps. I blocked each number one by one. With each block, my smile grew wider. It feels like... I looked around my dorm room at the future I'd carved out despite them. Victory. Miss Wilson? A knock at the door revealed Mary Palmer. Sorry to interrupt your moving in, but the university paper wants to do a follow-up story on your Hughes Bradley speech. Apparently it's sparked quite a movement about family financial abuse. Of course it has, Philip grinned. Also, Mary continued, we've had several donors reach out about establishing scholarships specifically for students whose families have diverted their college funds. They're calling it the Esme Initiative. I sat down on my newly made bed, letting that sink in. My revenge hadn't just changed my life, it was going to help others escape similar situations. Would you be interested in consulting on the program? Mary asked. Absolutely. After she left, Philip helped me hang up my last decoration, a framed copy of the viral news article about my speech. You know what's wild? He said. Your family thought they were writing you off as worthless. Instead, they accidentally wrote themselves into infamy. My laptop pinged again, an email from Vanessa. Your mum just got voted off the charity board. Ava's crying about being uninvited from Sophia's wedding. Dad's office is half empty, but hey, at least they still have each other, right? BTW, Cooper's engaged to someone else already. Karma's really out here doing the Lord's work. I closed my laptop, ready to leave the drama behind. Want to grab that dinner? I'm thinking somewhere expensive. I've got a full scholarship to celebrate. Walking across campus, I spotted other students watching me, whispering about the girl from that speech. But their whispers didn't hurt anymore. They were just echoes of a story I'd already finished writing. Hey, Philip nudged me. You did it. You really did it. No, I corrected him, looking up at the setting sun. They did it. I just made sure everyone knew exactly what they'd done. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just living well, it's living spectacularly while those who wronged you watch their carefully constructed facades crumble to dust. And I was just getting started.
The day my parents drained my college fund, they didn't even tell me to my face. I found out when my tuition payment bounced, and the financial aid office called to inform me I had exactly 48 hours to come up with $23,000, or I'd be dropped from all my classes. My name is Meredith, and that was 8 years ago. I was 19 then, sitting on the floor of my dorm room, desperately trying to reach my parents, while my roommate Stacy held my hand. When they finally picked up, my father's voice was eerily calm. We had to use it for Wilson. He got in trouble with some people. Bad people. It was for the family. That moment changed everything. I dropped out that semester, moved in with Stacy's family, and worked 3 jobs while taking night classes at community college. Every dollar I earned went toward building a new life, one where I'd never have to depend on anyone again. Now, standing in the hallway of my own apartment building after a long day at work, I'm staring at the 2 people who taught me the true meaning of betrayal. They look older, more desperate, but their eyes still hold that same entitled expectation. Meredith, honey. My mother steps forward, arms outstretched. I take a step back. What are you doing here? My father clears his throat. We need to talk. It's about Wilson. Of course it is. It's always about Wilson. I'm tired. I just worked 12 hours, I say, unlocking my door. Whatever it is, it can wait. It can't. My father's voice hardens. Your brother's in serious trouble. We need money. $80,000. I freeze, key still in the lock. Excuse me. It's not like we're asking for charity, my mother adds quickly. It's family money anyway. The laugh that escapes me isn't pretty. Family money. Like my college fund was family money. That was different. My father steps closer, towering over me like he used to when I was young. Wilson needed help then, and he needs help now. You're his sister. You have savings. We know you do. You always were good with money. Unlike some people, I mutter, finally pushing my door open. Don't you dare take that tone with me, my father growls. After everything we've done for you? Done for me? I spin around. You mean like working overtime at the library in high school to save for college? Or maybe you mean stealing those savings to bail out Wilson's gambling debts? We had no choice, my mother's voice cracks. Those men would have hurt him. And what about hurting me? The words come out softer than I intended. Did that ever cross your minds? My father's face reddens. You were always the strong one, the responsible one. Wilson, he needs more help. He's sensitive. Sensitive enough to need $80,000? I raise an eyebrow. What did he do this time? They exchange glances. My mother wrings her hands. We can't say exactly. But it's serious, Meredith. Legal serious. Of course it is. I step inside my apartment, leaving the door open. Come in. They hesitate, probably surprised by my sudden cooperation. 8 years ago, I would have already been writing the check, desperate for their approval. But I'm not that girl anymore. Really? My mother's face lights up. Oh, sweetheart, I knew you'd understand. I want to show you something first, I interrupt, walking to my home office. Wait there. I hear them whispering in my living room as I retrieve the manila envelope I've kept ready for this exact moment. For years, I've known they'd show up again, needing more money, more sacrifices, more of me. What's this? My father demands when I hand him the envelope. Open it. His hands shake slightly as he pulls out the contents. My mother peers over his shoulder, her face paling as she reads. This is ridiculous, he splutters. You can't be serious. Every dollar you took from my college fund, with 8 years of calculated interest, I say calmly. Plus, documented emotional damages and legal fees. The total comes to just over $100,000. Legal fees? My mother's voice rises. What legal fees? I smile, and for the first time, I see fear in their eyes. Did you really think I'd let you walk back into my life without protection? My lawyer drew up those papers months ago. I've just been waiting for you to show up. You ungrateful little... My father starts forward, but I hold up my phone, already recording. I'd think very carefully about your next move, I say quietly. Because if you keep pushing me, the restraining order goes into effect first thing tomorrow morning. The silence that follows is the sweetest sound I've heard in years. My father's face turns an alarming shade of purple as he flips through the pages. This is extortion, He sputters, waving the documents. You can't possibly expect us to pay this. Actually, I can. I move to my kitchen counter, maintaining a safe distance. Every withdrawal is documented. Every date, every amount, even the paperwork you forged to access my account. Forged? My mother's hand flies to her chest. Robert, what is she talking about? I pull out a folder from my desk drawer. Would you like to see the bank records, Mom? How about the signature comparison? I particularly enjoy page 6, where Dad tried to copy my handwriting. You were barely 18, my father snaps. That money was under our control. I was 19, and legally it wasn't. But please, keep talking. My recording app is loving this. A memory flashes. Me at 22, scrubbing toilets at 3 a.m. in an office building. My hands roar from chemicals, tears streaming down my face as I calculated how many more nights it would take to afford next semester's textbooks. Meredith. My mother steps forward, voice honey-sweet. Sweetheart, we know things were difficult back then. But this? She gestures at the papers. This isn't you. You're not vindictive. You're right, I'm not vindictive. I meet her eyes. I'm just done being your ATM. Your brother could go to jail. My father slams the papers down on my coffee table. Is that what you want? To destroy this family? I laugh, and it sounds hollow even to my ears. Destroy the family? Like you destroyed my future? Do you know what I did after you took my money? Oh, here we go. He rolls his eyes. The martyr act. I cleaned offices at night, worked retail on weekends, waited tables between classes. My voice stays steady. I lived on ramen and coffee while Wilson was gambling away thousands. Where did he even get more money to lose after draining my account? They exchange a look that sends warning bells ringing in my head. That's complicated, my mother says carefully. Everything with Wilson is complicated, I reply. But my terms aren't. You pay what you owe me, or I file charges. My father's laugh is ugly. Charges? For what? Financial fraud, identity theft, misappropriation of trust funds. I tick them off on my fingers. My lawyer says we have an airtight case. Should we test that theory? Your lawyer? My mother's voice shakes. You actually consulted a lawyer? Julian Burns. He specializes in financial fraud and family law. Would you like his card? You'd sue your own parents? My father's voice rises dangerously. After everything we sacrificed, you sacrificed nothing. The words explode out of me. You sacrificed me, my education, my future, my trust, all for Wilson's mistakes, and now you're here asking for more? It's different this time, my mother pleads. He's in real trouble. Then he can face real consequences. I walk to my front door and open it. You have 48 hours to start the repayment plan, or I file the lawsuit. And if you show up at my workplace again like you did last week, the restraining order becomes permanent. You knew we were... I have security cameras, Dad, and friends who keep an eye out. Did you think I wouldn't protect myself? He storms toward the door, face contorted with rage. You'll regret this. When Wilson goes to prison, his choices, his consequences. I stand my ground, just like this is your choice right now. My mother lingers, tears welling in her eyes. Please, Meredith, we're family. Family. I shake my head. Family doesn't steal from each other. Family doesn't manipulate and guilt and destroy. You taught me that. After they leave, I sink onto my couch, hands shaking as I reach for my phone. I dial a familiar number. How'd it go? Stacy answers on the first ring. They showed up, just like you predicted. And? I did it. Showed them the papers. Stood my ground. I take a deep breath. Wilson's in trouble again. They wanted $80,000. Jesus Christ. Stacy's voice hardens. Tell me you didn't. No. But it's bad this time, Stace. Legal trouble. The way they danced around it, something's really wrong. Not your problem, she says firmly. You gave them their options. Now it's on them. Yeah. I look at the manila envelope on my coffee table. I should call Julian, let him know they've been served. Want me to come over? I've got wine and those cookies you like. I smile, feeling the tension ease slightly. Rain check? I need to process this alone. Okay, but I'm checking on you tomorrow. She pauses. I'm proud of you, Mare. You did the right thing. After we hang up, I stare at the papers scattered across my coffee table. 8 years of pain, reduced to numbers and legal terms. It should feel like victory. Instead, I just feel tired. 3 days later, I'm making coffee when someone knocks. Through the peephole, I see my mother standing alone, clutching her oversized purse like a shield. Meredith? Her voice wavers. Please, can we talk? Just us? I should say no. Instead, I open the door. She walks in, eyes darting around my apartment like she's seeing it for the first time. Stopping at my bookshelf, she picks up a framed photo from my college graduation, the one she and Dad didn't attend. You looked so beautiful that day, she says softly. I always regretted not being there. Did you? I take the photo from her hands. Or did you regret that Wilson's latest crisis kept you away? She flinches. That's not fair. None of this is fair, Mom. I set the photo face down. Why are you here? She sits on my couch, smoothing her skirt with trembling hands. Remember when you were little? How you used to help me bake cookies every Sunday? Mom, you were such a good girl, always helping, always understanding. Her eyes fill with tears. Wilson, he needed more attention. He struggled. Stop. I grip my coffee mug tighter. I'm not that little girl anymore. You can't manipulate me with childhood memories. Manipulate? She looks wounded. I'm trying to remind you of who you are. This vindictiveness. These lawyers. This isn't you, sweetheart. No, this is exactly me. The me who had to grow up when her parents betrayed her. It was just money, she whispers. The mug slips from my hands, shattering on the kitchen floor. Coffee spreads like a dark stain across the tiles. Just money? My voice shakes. It was my future, my dreams, my trust in you. And you threw it all away for what? So Wilson could gamble more? Destroy more lives? You don't understand? Then make me understand. I grab paper towels, wiping up coffee to keep my hands busy. What's he done this time? What kind of trouble needs $80,000 to fix? She wrings her hands, looking everywhere but at me. He's gone, Meredith. I freeze. What do you mean, gone? He left the country 2 days ago. She pulls out a tissue, dabbing her eyes. That's why we need the money. To protect ourselves. Protect yourselves from what? There are people, dangerous people. They're saying Wilson took their money. Lots of money. She starts crying in earnest now. They came to our house yesterday, said if we don't pay... My blood runs cold. Are you saying Wilson stole from criminals? She nods miserably. And now he's fled the country, leaving you and Dad to deal with the consequences? Another nod. I grab my phone, scrolling through contacts. You need to call the police. We can't. She jumps up, grabbing my arm. They'll investigate everything. Your father... There are things, documents he signed. Understanding dawns. Dad helped him, didn't he? That's why you're both so desperate. She doesn't answer, but her silence speaks volumes. Get out! My voice is ice. Meredith, please, get out! I yank my arm away. You're not here because you love me. You're here because you need me to clean up your mess again. Well, guess what? I'm done being your safety net. They'll take our house, she sobs. Everything we've worked for. Everything you stole from me, you mean? I open my phone, dialing. Hi, Julian. It's Meredith. I need you to come to my apartment. Now. My mother backs away. What are you doing? Getting ahead of this before it destroys what's left of my life. I look her straight in the eye. I'm filing the lawsuit today. And if any of Wilson's dangerous people show up at my door, I'm calling the FBI. You'd do that? To your own family? Family? I laugh bitterly. A family protects each other. They don't steal, lie, and manipulate. They don't abandon their daughter when she needs them most. She reaches for the door, shoulders slumped. I thought, if I came alone, if we could just talk. You thought wrong. I pick up the broken mug pieces from the floor. Tell Dad I meant what I said. 48 hours to start repayment. Or I file everything. After she leaves, I call Stacy. They crossed a line, I tell her, voice shaking. Wilson's fled the country, left them holding the bag with some very bad people. Holy shit, she breathes. What are you going to do? I look at the face-down photo on my bookshelf, remembering that girl who graduated despite everything they did to stop her. I'm going to make them face consequences, I say. Real ones this time. Want backup? Always. I take a deep breath. And Stacy? Thank you for being the family I chose. Always, she echoes. I'll be there in 20 minutes. Don't start the revenge plotting without me. For the first time today, I smile. Julian's office smells like leather and coffee. He spreads documents across his desk while Stacy and I sit across from him, watching as he pieces together my parents' financial maze. Something's not adding up, he mutters, tapping his pen against a bank statement. The withdrawals from your college fund total $93,000, but Wilson's documented gambling debts were only $50,000. I lean forward. What are you saying? I'm saying there's $43,000 unaccounted for. He slides a paper toward me. Look at these transactions. They continued months after Wilson supposedly paid off his debts. Stacy points to a series of numbers. These withdrawals are weird too. Always the same amount, same day of the month. Like payments, I whisper. But to whom? Julian pulls up his computer screen. Your parents refinanced their house around the same time. Took out a massive loan against the equity. He frowns. And there's something else. The loan officer's signature. I've seen it before. Where? On documents from 3 other cases I've handled, all involving suspicious loans, all connected to a private lending company called Apex Financial. My stomach drops. You think Wilson was involved with them? I think, Julian says carefully, your brother might have been doing more than gambling. These patterns suggest money laundering. Stacy grabs my hand. Keep going, I tell Julian. He pulls out more papers. The timing of the withdrawals from your account, the house refinancing, the regular payments. It fits a pattern we see with organized crime. They use legitimate businesses and family accounts to clean dirty money. And my college fund? What was that really for? Initial buy-in, maybe. Or covering losses when something went wrong. He looks at me seriously. Your parents might not have just been enabling Wilson's gambling. They might have been helping him commit serious financial crimes. My head spins. That's why they're so desperate now, why they need exactly $80,000. Probably a payment they owe. Julian nods. And with Wilson gone, they're on the hook for it. I stand up, pacing. What do? We document everything, build our case. He starts organizing papers. But Meredith, if this goes where I think it's going, we're talking federal crimes. Are you prepared for that? You mean, am I prepared to turn in my own family? He nods. I think about my mother's tears, my father's rage, years of manipulation and theft. They made their choices. Now they can face their consequences. I'll need bank records going back 10 years, Julian says. And any communications you have with Wilson about money. I saved everything, I tell him. Every text, every email. I knew someday you'd need proof, Stacy finishes softly. Julian hands me a USB drive. Put everything on here. And Meredith? Be careful. If I'm right about Apex Financial, these aren't people you want attention from. Back at my apartment, Stacy helps me dig through old emails while I forward texts to Julian. Look at this, she says suddenly, pointing at her screen. An email from Wilson 3 years ago. He's asking you to invest in a business opportunity. I lean over. I remember that. He wanted me to put up $20,000 for some import-export company. Read the company name. My blood freezes. Apex Trading Partners. He was trying to rope you in, Stacy says quietly. Make you complicit. My phone buzzes. A text from an unknown number. My hands shake as I read it. Family business should stay in the family. Back off, little sister. Stacy reads over my shoulder. That's it. I'm calling the police. No. I forward the text to Julian. We do this right. Build the case. Get everything documented. And then, I think about that scared 19-year-old girl, crying in the financial aid office. About years of working multiple jobs, of rebuilding my life from scratch while my family helped Wilson destroy his. And then we bring it all down. Every last lie, every scheme, every crime they helped cover up. I start typing a response to Julian. They want to talk about family money. Let's show them exactly what happens when family business comes to light. Stacy hugs me tight. You're the strongest person I know, you realize that? I lean into her embrace, watching my screen as Julian's response comes through. Meeting tomorrow, 9 a.m. Bringing in a federal contact. Time to go nuclear. Not strong, I tell Stacy. Just done being a victim. My phone buzzes again. Another unknown number. Your parents owe us money. Don't make their problem your problem. I block the number, hands steady now. They think threats will make me back down, make me fold like that obedient daughter they used to know. They have no idea who I've become. Are you sure about this? Stacy asks as we pull up to the coffee shop. Meeting Wilson's ex could be dangerous. Chloe agreed to talk, I say, scanning the parking lot. She might be the only person who knows what Wilson was really doing. Inside, we spot her immediately, blonde hair pulled back, nervously shredding a napkin. She jumps when we approach. You look just like him, she blurts out. Same eyes. I sit across from her. Thanks for meeting us. I shouldn't be here. Her fingers drum against her coffee cup. If certain people find out I'm talking to you, we can protect you, Stacy says, sliding over a business card. My law firm specializes in witness protection cases. Chloe laughs bitterly. You don't know what you're dealing with. Wilson, he wasn't just gambling. The whole thing was a front. A front for what? She leans forward, voice dropping. He worked for Apex. Started as a recruiter, finding desperate people willing to take out loans. But then he got promoted. To what? Collections. She shivers. He'd brag about it when he was drunk. How they'd use family pressure points, kids' college funds, parents' retirement accounts, anything they could leverage. My coffee turns sour in my stomach. The money from my college fund probably went straight to Apex. She pulls out her phone, scrolling through photos. Look at this. Wilson sent it to me last year, showing off his business success. The image shows Wilson in an expensive suit, standing next to a sleek car. But it's the building behind him that catches my eye. Apex Financial's logo clearly visible. He said your parents were in on it, Chloe continues. Your dad helped process loan applications, made everything look legitimate. Your mom, she handled the cash deposits. They were laundering money, I whisper. Among other things. She glances around nervously. Wilson kept records, said it was his insurance policy. He stored everything on an encrypted drive. Stacy leans forward. Do you know where it is? In a safety deposit box. First National Bank, downtown branch. Chloe's hands shake as she writes down a number. Box 247. He gave me the key before he disappeared. Why? I ask. Because I threatened to go to the FBI. She pulls a small key from her purse. He thought giving me this would keep me quiet, make me complicit. I stare at the key. Why are you helping us now? Because they killed my brother. Her voice cracks. He couldn't pay back his loan. 3 days later, his car went off a bridge. Police called it an accident, but... I'm so sorry, I whisper. Take the key. She slides it across the table. But be careful. That drive, it doesn't just implicate Wilson. It names everyone involved with Apex, including your parents. My phone buzzes. A text from Julian. Federal agents want to meet, tomorrow morning. Chloe, Stacy says gently, would you be willing to make a statement to federal investigators? She pales. I can't. They'd know it was me. We can protect you, I promise. My lawyer, the FBI. They can help. Like they helped my brother? She stands abruptly. I've told you what I know. The drive has everything else. Just promise me one thing? What? Make them pay. All of them. She grabs her purse. And Meredith? Watch your back. Wilson always said the most dangerous people at Apex weren't the ones you could see. After she leaves, Stacy and I sit in stunned silence. We need to get to that safety deposit box, Stacy finally says. First thing tomorrow. I clutch the key. Before anyone realizes Chloe talked to us. My phone buzzes again. This time, a message from my mother. Your father knows you're digging. Please stop. You don't understand what's at stake. Another text follows. We did everything for this family. Don't destroy it. Family, I scoff, showing Stacy the messages. They helped Wilson steal from desperate people. They're criminals. And now we can prove it. Stacy squeezes my hand. Are you ready for what comes next? I think about Chloe's brother, about all the other victims of Apex's schemes, about my own stolen future, turned into blood money for criminals. They chose this path, I say, pocketing the safety deposit box key. They chose Wilson's crimes over their daughter's education. Now they can choose between facing justice or facing Apex. And Wilson, he ran away and left them holding the bag. I stand up, suddenly energized. Let's see how he likes it when his insurance policy burns down everything he built. Outside, I spot a black car idling across the street. The driver watches us through tinted windows. Don't look, I tell Stacy, but I think we're being followed. Julian's office? She asks quietly. I nod. Keys ready. Time to go nuclear. The safety deposit box key feels heavy in my pocket as Julian reviews the surveillance footage from my building's security cameras. On screen, my father paces outside my door, pounding and shouting. This is perfect, Julian says, pausing the video. Clear intimidation. We can add witness harassment to the charges. He looks desperate, I murmur, watching my father's rage-contorted face. He should be. Julian pulls up some documents. I did more digging into those loan applications. Your father's signature appears on over 30 fraudulent documents. Each one carries a potential 10-year sentence. My phone buzzes. Another text from my mother. He's drinking again. Please call us. Please. Don't respond, Julian warns. Everything goes through me now. Speaking of which... He slides a document across his desk. The federal agents are ready to move on Apex, but they need your statement first. A knock at the door makes us all jump. Julian's assistant pokes her head in. Sorry to interrupt, but there's a woman here insisting on seeing Meredith. Says she's from the bank. My blood runs cold. First National? Yes. She says it's about a safety deposit box. Julian and I exchange looks. How did they know? Someone's watching us, Stacy says quietly. They must have seen Chloe give you the key. Send her in, Julian decides, hitting record on his phone. The bank representative is young, nervous. Ms. Sherman? I'm Amanda from First National. There's been some activity concerning Box 247. What kind of activity? Someone tried to access it this morning. When they couldn't, they became aggressive, threatened our staff. She wrings her hands. We're required to notify box holders of any security concerns. Did this person give a name? Robert, she says. He said he was your father. My laugh sounds hollow. Of course he did. We've contacted police, but... She hesitates. Given the circumstances, we recommend removing your belongings as soon as possible. Julian stands. We'll go now. And Amanda, we'll need copies of all security footage from today. At the bank, 2 security guards escort us to the vault. The box opens with a click, revealing a single USB drive. That's it? Stacy whispers. All this drama for that? Sometimes the smallest things carry the biggest weight, Julian says, carefully bagging the drive. Let's get this somewhere safe. We're halfway to the exit when I hear his voice. Meredith, my father storms across the lobby, face purple with rage. Security moves toward him, but he keeps coming. You think you can destroy this family? He shouts. After everything we've done for you? Sir, please step back, a guard warns. Done for me? I turn to face him. You mean like stealing my future? Or helping Wilson run his criminal enterprise? You ungrateful little... He lunges forward, but the guards grab him. You're making a scene, Dad. I keep my voice steady. Just like you did at my apartment. How's that restraining order looking now? Your brother trusted us, he spits. We protected him. And now you're going to destroy everything? No, you destroyed everything. The moment you chose his crimes over your daughter's education. We had no choice. You had every choice. I hold up the USB drive. And now everyone will know exactly what choices you made. His face goes from purple to white. What's on that drive? Everything. I step closer. Every loan, every scheme, every person you and Wilson destroyed. How many families lost their homes because of you, Dad? How many lives did you help ruin? You can't prove... Wilson kept records. I cut him off. His insurance policy, remember? Guess he didn't trust his family as much as you thought. Security starts pulling him toward the exit. He struggles, shouting, You'll regret this. When they come for their money. Let them come. I watch as they drag him out. I'm not afraid of bullies anymore. You taught me that. Outside, Julian hurries us to his car. That display will help our case, but we need to move fast. Once they realize we have the drive, they'll come for it, Stacy finishes. My phone lights up with a message from an unknown number. You have something that belongs to us. Last chance to play nice. They're not going to stop, I say quietly. No, Julian agrees. But neither are we. The FBI is standing by. One word from me, and this all goes public. I think about my father's face when he saw the drive. About my mother's tears and manipulation. About Wilson, running away while leaving everyone else to face his consequences. Do it, I tell Julian. Release everything. Are you sure? Once this starts, I'm sure. I watch the bank disappear in the rearview mirror. They wanted to talk about family money? Let's show them exactly what happens when family secrets come to light. Julian makes the call as we drive away. In the distance, sirens begin to wail. The endgame has begun. The courthouse buzzes with tension as I take my seat beside Julian. Across the aisle, my parents huddle with their lawyer, looking smaller than I've ever seen them. My mother keeps dabbing her eyes with a tissue, while my father stares straight ahead, jaw clenched. "Ready?" Julian whispers. Before I can answer, the bailiff calls out, "All rise!" The judge enters, a stern-faced woman who wastes no time getting to business. "We're here for both criminal charges and civil proceedings. Let's start with the restraining order." My father's lawyer stands. "Your Honor, this is a family matter that's gotten out of hand. My clients threatened their daughter at her home and workplace," Julian interrupts, holding up a tablet. "We have video evidence of Mr. Roberts' intimidation attempts." The footage plays, my father screaming outside my apartment, his confrontation at the bank. The judge's expression darkens. "The restraining order is granted," she announces. "Now, regarding the criminal charges." My mother breaks into loud sobs. "Please, Meredith, don't do this to us." "Mrs. Sherman," the judge warns, "control yourself or leave my courtroom." Julian presents the USB drive's contents. Spreadsheets, emails, loan documents, all meticulously organized by Wilson. The evidence is damning. Years of fraud, money laundering, and extortion, all flowing through Apex Financial. "Your Honor," Julian says, "my client's college fund wasn't just stolen. It was used to finance criminal activities. The defendants knowingly participated in..." The courtroom doors burst open. Everyone turns to see two FBI agents escorting a familiar figure. Wilson. He's handcuffed, his designer suit wrinkled, his face unshaven. Our eyes meet, and he has the audacity to wink. "Sorry we're late, Your Honor," one agent announces. "Mr. Sherman was apprehended trying to cross the Canadian border." My mother jumps up. "Wilson! Oh, thank God!" "Sit down," the judge orders. "Mr. Sherman, I understand you wish to make a statement." Wilson steps forward, smirking. "Actually, Your Honor, I have a deal with the federal prosecutors. Full immunity in exchange for my testimony against Apex's leadership." "You rat!" my father explodes. "After everything we did to protect you." "Order!" The judge slams her gavel. "Sorry, Dad," Wilson shrugs. "Business is business. Should have taught me better family values." Julian stands. "Your Honor, regardless of Mr. Wilson's deal with federal authorities, my client's civil suit stands. The theft of her college fund was all their idea," Wilson interrupts, pointing at our parents. "They suggested using Meredith's money to buy into Apex. Said she'd never know." My mother wails. My father lunges toward Wilson, but court officers restrain him. "I've heard enough," the judge declares. "On the civil matter, I'm ruling in favor of the plaintiff. The defendants will pay restitution of $93,000 plus interest, along with legal fees and emotional damages. Total judgment, $157,000. She turns to my parents. "As for the criminal charges of fraud and money laundering, this court lacks jurisdiction." Federal agents, the FBI agents step forward. "Robert and Sylvia Sherman, you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit wire fraud, money laundering, and racketeering." As they're handcuffed, my mother breaks down completely. "Meredith, please, don't let them take us." "You did this to yourselves," I say quietly. "Every choice, every lie, every time you chose Wilson over me." Wilson chuckles. "Always so dramatic, little sister. But hey, at least you got your money back. This was never about money." I stand facing him. This was about justice. For me, for Chloe's brother, for every family you and Apex destroyed. "Speaking of Apex," Julian interjects, "federal agents are raiding their offices as we speak. Your insurance policy proved very useful, Wilson." Wilson's smirk falters. The judge gavels one final time. Court is adjourned. Remove the defendants. As they're led away, my father turns back. You've killed us. When Apex's people find out, they already know. I cut him off. And they're too busy being arrested to worry about revenge. Outside the courthouse, Stacy waits with coffee and open arms. I collapse into her embrace, finally letting tears fall. It's over, she whispers. Not quite. I wipe my eyes, watching my family being loaded into separate police vehicles. The federal trials are next. But you won, she insists. You got justice. Julian joins us, holding more papers. The bank accounts are frozen, but once the assets are released, you'll get your restitution. Plus, the feds might have witness protection for your parents. Not my problem anymore, I say firmly. They made their choices. Now they can live with them. As we walk away, my phone buzzes one last time, a text from Wilson. Well played, sis. But remember, karma works both ways. I delete it without responding. He's right about one thing. Karma does work both ways. And today, it worked in my favor. My apartment feels different tonight. Quieter, somehow. I pour a glass of wine and settle on the couch, staring at the stack of newspapers on my coffee table. The headlines scream about Apex Financial's collapse, about dozens of arrests, about millions in stolen money recovered. My phone rings. Julian. Just got word, he says without preamble. Your parents took a plea deal, 5 years each, reduced from 15. And Wilson, witness protection. He'll testify against Apex's leadership next month. He pauses. Are you okay? I search for the right word. Free. After we hang up, I open the manila envelope that started everything. The documents inside tell a story of betrayal, of stolen dreams, of justice finally served. But they're just papers now, not weapons. A knock at the door makes me tense until I hear Stacy's voice. Pizza delivery for the warrior princess. She bustles in with food and more wine, plopping down beside me. What's all this? Evidence, bank statements, court documents. I shuffle through them, trying to decide what to do with them. Burn them, she suggests around a mouthful of pizza. Like in those revenge movies where the hero dramatically tosses everything into a fire. I don't have a fireplace. Details. She grabs the papers. But seriously, why keep them? It's over. You won. Did I? I take another sip of wine. My parents are going to prison. Wilson's in witness protection. The family's destroyed. The family was destroyed long ago, she says softly. The moment they chose Wilson's crimes over your future. My phone buzzes. A text from Chloe. They arrested the men who killed my brother. Thank you. Another message follows. Your parents' testimony helped crack the case. See? Stacy points at my phone. Something good came from all this. Justice isn't just about revenge. I never wanted revenge, I realize. I wanted accountability. I wanted them to face consequences for once in their lives. And they did. She raises her glass. To karma. To karma, I echo, but my voice catches. Stacy sets down her wine. Talk to me. I keep thinking about that girl I was. The one who cried over financial aid rejections. Who cleaned offices at night and lived on ramen. I pick up an old bank statement. She thought she was alone. She wasn't alone. Stacy squeezes my hand. She had me. And now look at her, taking down criminal enterprises, saving other families from fraud, being a total badass. I laugh despite myself. I couldn't have done it without you. Or Julian. Speaking of Julian, she wiggles her eyebrows. He's kind of cute when he's not being all lawyer serious. Stop it. I throw a pizza crust at her. He's just my attorney. Who called you 3 times today to check in? Before I can respond, my doorbell rings. We both freeze. Through the peephole, I see Julian holding a file and looking nervous. Stacy squeals quietly. "I'll use the back door," she whispers, gathering her things. "Call me later." Julian seems surprised when I open the door. "Sorry to come by so late. I had some papers for you to sign and—" He spots the wine and pizza. "Oh, you have company?" "Had company. Stacy just left." I wave him in. "What papers?" "Final settlement documents. And—" He pulls out an envelope. "This came to my office for you." Inside is a letter from my mother, her handwriting shaky. "Meredith, I'm sorry. Not for getting caught, but for failing you, for choosing Wilson's schemes over your dreams, for not being the mother you deserved. I can't undo the past, but I testified to give you the justice you fought for. It's not enough, I know. Nothing ever will be. Love, Mum." "Are you okay?" Julian asks gently. I fold the letter carefully. "I will be." I look at the scattered papers on my coffee table. "Help me clean this up?" Together, we sort through years of evidence, organizing everything into a single folder labeled "Closed." "What will you do now?" he asks. "Live." I close the folder. "Build something new. Maybe help other families avoid what mine did." "I could use a consultant," he offers. "Someone who understands financial fraud from the inside." "Are you offering me a job?" "I'm offering you a purpose." He smiles. "And maybe dinner." I look around my apartment, at the photos of Stacy and me, at my hard-earned degrees on the wall, at the folder containing my family's downfall. "Dinner sounds good," I say. "But first—" I pick up my mother's letter, hold it over a candle, and watch it burn. "Sometimes," I tell Julian, "karma needs a little push, and I will never apologize for being the one who gave it." He hands me my wine glass. "To new beginnings?" "To justice," I correct him, "and to finally being free."
The wine glass sat untouched in front of me, a 2015 Cabernet that probably cost more than my last textbook. My father's laugh boomed across our mahogany dining table, the same cruel sound that had echoed through my childhood whenever I dared to dream too big. "A surgeon? Come now, Sarah, that's a bit much for a girl, isn't it? I'm Sarah Newton, and this was the night I learned my medical school fund had been emptied to pay for my sister's wedding. 10 years later, I still remember how the silverware clinked against bone china while my future shattered. Daddy's right, Paige simpered, twisting her new engagement ring. Medical school is so intense and expensive. You'd be much happier teaching like we talked about. She reached for my hand. I pulled away. We didn't talk about anything, I said. You and Mum talked about me while I was studying for my MCATs. Mum adjusted her pearl necklace, a nervous tell I'd watched for years. Sarah, dear, your sister's wedding is a once-in-a-lifetime event, and James's family, well, we need to make the right impression. My education fund, I said slowly, is going to ice sculptures and dove releases. Now! Dad's voice carried that warning tone, the one that meant I was being difficult. We've already put down deposits. Paige's future in-laws are very particular about these things. You understand. Actually, I don't. I stood up, my chair scraping against hardwood. I don't understand how my entire future is worth less than Paige's one day of playing princess. Sarah, Mum gasped, that's not fair to your sister. Fair? I laughed, and it sounded foreign even to me. I've maintained a 4.0 GPA, I've volunteered at 3 hospitals, I've done everything right, everything you asked, and you're just... What? Giving away my chance? You're being dramatic, Dad said, cutting into his steak. There are plenty of other careers. Teaching, like Paige suggested. Nursing, maybe. Something more suitable. Suitable for what? Being female? For someone who needs to think about family eventually, he replied. These surgeon dreams, they're unrealistic. You'd never have time for children, for a proper home life. Paige touched my arm. I know it seems unfair now, but you'll thank us later. When you have your own family, you'll understand why. I jerked away. Stop talking about my future like you own it. That's enough! Dad's fist hit the table. Wine glasses trembled. You're acting like a child. We're your parents. We know what's best. I looked at each of them. Dad, red-faced and certain. Mum, carefully examining her plate. Paige, wearing concerned sister like it was another designer accessory. You know what's funny? I said, reaching for my purse. You're right, I am being dramatic, because this isn't a discussion about my future. I stood up. This is the last time you'll ever see me. Don't be ridiculous, Mom said. Sit down and finish your dinner. I'm done, I said, with dinner, with this family, with all of it. Dad's chair scraped back. If you walk out that door, young lady. You'll what? Take away my education fund? I smiled, and it felt like breaking glass. Too late. I walked to the door, my heels clicking against hardwood like a countdown. Behind me, Paige called out, Sarah, please don't ruin my engagement dinner. I turned back one last time. You know what the difference is between us, Paige. You'll spend your wedding day becoming someone's wife. I'll spend the rest of my life becoming myself. The door slammed behind me with satisfying finality. Outside, the summer air felt electric against my skin. My hands were shaking, but my mind was clear, crystal clear. I pulled out my phone and dialed the one person who'd always believed in me. Ren, it's me. Remember how you said your couch was always available if I needed it? Sarah, what happened? They gave away my medical school fund to pay for Paige's wedding. Silence crackled over the line. Then, get over here, now. We're planning your revenge. Revenge? Yeah, we're going to make you so successful they choke on it. I looked back at the house, at the warm light spilling from windows that no longer felt like home. Through the dining room window I could see them, still eating, still talking, probably already dismissing my exit as another dramatic Sarah moment. You know what? I said, starting my car. They think being a surgeon is too much for a girl. Fine. I'll become the kind of surgeon they have to beg for. I pulled away from the curb, leaving behind an untouched glass of wine and a family that would regret every word, every laugh, every dismissal. They just didn't know it yet. You're running on fumes, Sarah. I glanced up from the medical journal I was reviewing, my eyes burning from another 18-hour shift. Nathan stood in the doorway of the on-call room, 2 cups of coffee in hand. No, I said, accepting one. I'm running on rage. There's a difference. 10 years had passed since that dinner. 10 years of sleeping on Ren's couch, working 3 jobs between classes, and fighting my way through a system that seemed designed to break me. But here I was, preparing for another groundbreaking surgery, while my colleagues whispered about the miracle worker in vascular. Your next patient's here, Nathan said, sitting beside me. Another impossible case. Why do they always send those to you? I smiled. Because I'm the best, and because I never say no. The memory hit me then. My first year of med school, working the night shift at a 24-hour diner. I'd fallen asleep during morning lectures more times than I could count, but I never missed a single one. Order up, I'd call, balancing plates while highlighting textbook passages tucked behind the counter. The regulars learned not to bother me during study time. The manager wasn't as understanding. This is a restaurant, not a library, he'd said, tossing my books in the break room. I quit that night, found a better job bartending. At least there I could study during slow hours. Nathan's voice pulled me back. The surgical board's talking about you again. That last procedure you developed, they're calling it revolutionary. Good. I stood up, straightening my scrubs. Maybe they'll finally send that plaque to the right address. Another flash, last year's International Surgical Forum. I presented my findings on microvascular reconstruction, techniques no one else had dared to try. Standing ovation, awards, recognition. They'd mailed everything to my parents' house, my old address still listed in some database. I never asked if they'd opened it, never called to find out if they'd even noticed their daughter's name making medical history. Dr. Newton? An intern appeared at the door. The patients prepped and ready. In the OR, everything else fell away. This was where I belonged, where no one questioned if it was too much for a girl. The scalpel didn't care about gender, neither did the lives I saved. "Clamp," I said, and the instrument appeared in my hand like magic. This was my element, my revenge. Every successful surgery was another middle finger to everyone who said I couldn't. 4 hours later, I was writing up my notes when my phone buzzed. A voicemail from Paige. I nearly deleted it without listening. "Sarah, it's me. I know it's been years, but it's Mom. Please call me back. Please, we need you." I played it again. There was something in her voice, real fear, not the manufactured drama she usually traded in. "You okay?" Nathan appeared beside me, concern etched on his face. We'd dated briefly 2 years ago, before he'd grown tired of competing with my walls. Now we were just colleagues who carried too much history. My sister called, something about my mother. "Are you going to call back?" I stared at the phone. "They haven't needed me for 10 years. Why start now?" "Maybe because you're the best?" He touched my shoulder briefly. "The Sarah Newton who revolutionized vascular surgery, the one who just saved another impossible case." I laughed bitterly. "You mean the one they thought should be a teacher?" "No," he said quietly. "The one who proved them wrong." My pager beeped. Another consultation, another life hanging in the balance, another chance to be too much. "Whatever it is," I told Nathan, "they can find another doctor. I'm busy saving people who didn't throw away my future." But as I walked away, Paige's voice echoed in my head. The fear, the desperation. Part of me, the part that still remembered being a daughter, wanted to call back. The bigger part remembered working as a night security guard during my residency, drinking gas station coffee to stay awake during rounds. Remembered Ren bringing me groceries when I couldn't afford food. Remembered every sacrifice, every humiliation, every moment of proving myself while my family enjoyed Paige's perfect wedding. My phone buzzed again. Another voicemail. "Sarah, please. The doctor's here. They say you're the only one who might be able to help. Mum's dying. Please, we need you. We were wrong. We were so wrong." I deleted the message and walked into my next consultation, but my hands were shaking, and it wasn't from the coffee. They needed me now. Fine. But this time, I'd be the one setting the terms. This time, I'd be too much on purpose. I pulled out my phone and texted Paige back. "Send me the medical files, all of them, then we'll talk." The medical files arrived at 3 a.m. I sat in my office, scrolling through images that made my stomach clench. Mum's condition was rare, a complex vascular malformation that was slowly strangling her brain. The kind of case that ended up in medical journals, usually with the word fatal attached. My phone rang. Paige again. "Have you looked at them?" Her voice was raw, like she'd been crying. "I'm looking now." I kept my voice clinical, detached. "Who's tried operating?" 3 surgeons. They all said the same thing. "It's too risky." Then one of them mentioned your name, said you'd pioneered techniques for cases like this. I closed my eyes, remembering Dad's words. Too much for a girl. Now here they were, desperate for exactly what they'd tried to prevent me from becoming. "Sarah," Paige's voice cracked, "are you still there?" "The surgeons were right," I said. "It's extremely high risk, the success rate." "Please," she interrupted, "just come see her, even if you decide not to operate. She asks for you, you know. When the pain medication makes her confused, she calls for you." My laugh was bitter. "Funny. She wasn't calling for me when you all emptied my future into your wedding fund." Silence stretched between us. Then, "I tried to give it back. After the wedding, I wanted to write you a check, but Dad wouldn't let me have your address." "Save it," I said. "I don't need your guilt money now." "Then what do you need?" Her voice hardened. "Tell me what it would take to get you here. Name your price." I leaned back, staring at the ceiling. Full medical authority, legal documentation giving me complete control over her care. No interference from Dad, from you, from anyone. I make all the decisions. "Done," she said immediately. "Whatever you want." "I mean it, Paige. One word from Dad about what's suitable for a woman doctor, one attempt to control the situation, and I'm gone." "I'll handle Dad. Just Please come." I hung up without answering and called Wren. "They're desperate," I told her. "Mum's dying and apparently I'm their last hope." "Calm as a bitch," Wren said. "Are you going?" "I don't know. Should I?" "Wrong question. Can you live with yourself if you don't?" The memory surfaced unbidden. Me at 16, reading medical textbooks under my covers with a flashlight. Dad had caught me once. "What are you doing?" he demanded. "Learning about the cardiovascular system," I'd said proudly, showing him the diagram. He'd closed the book. "This isn't for you, Sarah. Focus on something more appropriate." Now, looking at Mum's scans, I could name every vessel, every potential complication. I was exactly what he'd tried to prevent me from becoming. "I'll need a lawyer," I told Wren. "Someone to draft ironclad paperwork about medical authority." "Already on it," she said. "I'll email you the documents in an hour. Make them suffer a little before you sign." Ray, the hospital administrator, was surprisingly supportive when I requested emergency leave. "Take whatever time you need," she said, "but Sarah, don't let this break you. Some wounds don't heal better just because you get to be the one holding the knife." I booked a flight for the next morning. As I packed my bag, Nathan appeared in my doorway. "I heard," he said simply. "Want company? I could assist if you decide to operate." "Why would you do that?" He shrugged. "Because you're the best surgeon I know, and because 10 years ago someone told you this was too much for a girl. I want to watch you prove them wrong." I zipped my bag closed. "I haven't decided if I'm operating." "Yes, you have," he said quietly. "You decided the moment you saw those scans, because you're not just angry anymore, Sarah. You're exactly what they were afraid you'd become, someone who saves lives whether they deserve it or not." My phone buzzed with Wren's email. Legal documents requiring signatures from my entire family, giving me complete control. "Fine," I told Nathan. "Book your ticket. But remember, this isn't about healing family wounds. This is about showing them exactly what they tried to throw away." He nodded. "I know. Just remember something. The best revenge isn't making them sorry. It's making them irrelevant." I shouldered my bag, thinking of Mum's scans, of Dad's dismissal, of Paige's wedding, of every moment that had fueled me to this point. "They're already irrelevant," I said. "Now they just need to know it." I walked out of my office toward a confrontation 10 years in the making. They wanted the daughter they'd thrown away? Fine. But they were getting the surgeon instead. The hospital waiting room smelled like artificial lavender and old regrets. Dad stood as I entered, his hair greyer than I remembered, his shoulders stooped with age and worry. Paige sat beside him, perfectly manicured fingers twisting a tissue. "Sarah," he said, stepping forward, "thank God you—" I held up my hand. "The paperwork first." "Now really," he started, that familiar tone of authority creeping in. "We should discuss—" "No." I pulled out the documents Wren had prepared. "You sign these or I walk. Your choice." Paige grabbed the papers before Dad could object. "Where do we sign?" I watched them read through the terms. Full medical authority, complete decision-making power, no interference in my medical judgments. Dad's face darkened with each paragraph. "This is ridiculous," he sputtered. "We're her family. You can't expect us to—" "Actually, I can." I crossed my arms. "You wanted the best surgeon available? This is how you get her, or should I call a cab back to the airport?" Paige thrust a pen at him. "Sign it, Dad, please." His hand shook as he scrawled his signature. 10 years ago he would have thrown the papers in my face. Amazing what desperation could do. Nathan appeared beside me, his presence steady and grounding. "Dr. Newton, they're ready for your initial consultation." Dad's head snapped up. "Who's this?" "Dr. Fox," Nathan said smoothly. "I'll be assisting Dr. Newton during the procedure." "Procedure?" Dad stood straighter. "Now wait just a minute. We haven't agreed to any—" "Actually," I cut in, holding up the signed papers, "you just did. Nathan, let's examine the patient." Mom lay unconscious in the ICU, monitors beeping steadily. She looked small against the white sheets, her elegant facade stripped away by illness. I checked her vitals, reviewed her charts, my professional mask firmly in place. "Sarah?" Her eyes fluttered open. "Is it really you?" "It's me." I kept my voice neutral. "I need to examine you." "I knew you'd come," she whispered. "I told him you'd become important." "I need you to follow my finger with your eyes," I said, ignoring the comment. This wasn't a reunion, this was a medical examination. After completing my assessment, I stepped into the hallway where my family waited. Wren had arrived, looking fierce in her lawyer suit. "The surgery has a 28% success rate," I announced clinically. "Any slight error could be fatal. Without it, she has maybe 2 weeks." 28%? Dad's voice cracked. "But you're supposed to be the best." "I am the best," I said coldly. "That's why other surgeons quoted you 0%. Now, as her medical proxy, I need to inform you of my decision." Paige gripped Dad's arm. "Which is?" "I'll operate tomorrow morning. If she survives, she'll need extensive rehabilitation. If she doesn't—" I met Dad's eyes. "Well, at least you'll know a girl tried her best." He flinched. Paige started crying. Nathan touched my elbow, a silent reminder to stay professional. "Dr. Fox will review the consent forms with you," I continued. "I have preparations to make." "Sarah, wait," Dad called as I turned to leave. I was wrong. About you. About everything." I looked back at him, this man who had shaped my life by trying to limit it. "Yes," I said simply. "You were." In the doctor's lounge, Wren found me staring at my mother's scans. "You wanted them to grovel," she said quietly. "Just remember, if you twist them too far, they'll break, and so might you." "I'm not twisting anything," I replied. "I'm doing my job, the one they said I couldn't handle." Later that night, I returned to Mum's room. The night shift nurses had dimmed the lights, and the monitors cast a soft glow over her sleeping face. "Did you ever miss me?" I whispered to her unconscious form, "or just the image of what I was supposed to be?" She stirred slightly but didn't wake. I checked her latest readings, making notes for tomorrow's surgery. One wrong move, one slight tremor, and she would die under my hands. Nathan appeared in the doorway. "Pre-op team is ready for briefing." I nodded, taking one last look at my mother. 10 years ago, she had sat silently while they stole my dreams. Tomorrow, her life would literally be in my hands. "Coming," I said, straightening my white coat. "Let's make sure everyone knows exactly what we're dealing with." As I walked out, I heard Mom murmur in her sleep, "I'm sorry, Sarah. Too little, too late." Tomorrow wasn't about forgiveness. It was about proving, once and for all, that I had become exactly what they feared, someone they needed more than I needed them. "I want to save her," I told Nathan as we reviewed the surgical plan. "But I want them to feel afraid first. Is that monstrous?" We were alone in the conference room, surrounded by brain scans and surgical diagrams. Dawn was still hours away. "It's human," he said, not looking up from his notes. "But it's not you." "You don't know who I am anymore." "I know you've never lost a patient because of pride." He finally met my eyes. "Don't make your mother the first." A knock interrupted us. Paige stood in the doorway looking haunted. "Can we talk?" Nathan gathered his papers. "I'll check on the OR prep." Once he left, Paige collapsed into a chair. She smelled like expensive perfume and whiskey. "Remember when we were kids? How I used to steal your books?" "To hide them from Dad," I said. "Not exactly sisterly protection." "No." She pulled out a flask, took a swig. "I was jealous. You were so sure about everything, about who you wanted to be. Until you let them take it away. They were going to take it anyway." She slammed the flask down. Dad had already decided the wedding fund, that was Mum's idea, to at least make it look like the money went somewhere instead of him just refusing. I felt the floor shift under me. "What?" "Mum tried to change his mind after the wedding. She even offered to sell her jewellery collection to help pay for your school." Paige laughed bitterly. Dad said he'd rather burn the money than waste it on female surgical fantasies. Why are you telling me this now? Because I'm drunk enough to be honest, and because... She wiped her eyes. I didn't want that wedding. Not like that. Not with your future paying for it. But you took it anyway. I did, because I was weak, because it was easier to be what they wanted. She looked at me with bloodshot eyes. You know what the worst part is? Every time you make headlines for some amazing surgery, Dad says it must be exaggerated, that no daughter of his could be that important. My pager beeped, a pre-op notification. In 6 hours I'd have my mother's life in my hands. I should go, I said, standing. Sarah, Paige grabbed my arm. I know it doesn't fix anything, but I'm going to pay you back, every cent, with interest. Keep your money, I said. I didn't become a surgeon for the paycheck. I headed to my temporary office, but found myself walking to Mum's room instead. A nurse was checking her vitals. Dr. Newton, she said, there's something you should see. We found this in her personal effects. She handed me an envelope. Inside was a letter, dated 3 days ago. If you're reading this, Sarah, I didn't know how else to say it. My hands shook as I read Mum's careful handwriting. I failed you. Not just about school, about everything. I was raised to believe silence was a wife's duty. Your father's word was law in our house, just like my father's word was law in my childhood home. But watching you fight, watching you succeed despite us, you showed me what strength really looks like. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm telling you I was wrong. You weren't too much. We were too small. The letter continued, but my vision blurred. Wren's words echoed in my head. Closure doesn't mean they say sorry. It means you get to stop asking why. Nathan found me there, still holding the letter. Everything okay? No, I said honestly, but it will be, after tomorrow. About tomorrow. He hesitated. The surgical plan you proposed, it's brilliant, dangerous but brilliant. No one else would dare try it. Are you saying you won't assist? I'm saying I've never seen anything like it, or anyone like you. He touched my shoulder. Get some rest. Tomorrow we make history. I folded the letter carefully. Or we kill my mother. No, he said firmly. Tomorrow you save her. Not because she deserves it, but because that's who you are. The best surgeon I know. The one who takes impossible cases and makes them possible. I looked at my mother's sleeping form, then at the letter, then at my steady surgeon's hands. Okay, I said, but first I need to review one more thing. The approach to the tertiary vessels? No. I pulled out my phone. I need to see if that jewellery collection she mentioned is still worth anything, because if I save her, she's going to help me start a scholarship fund for girls with surgical fantasies. Nathan smiled. Now that's the kind of revenge I can assist with. I tucked the letter away and turned to the medical charts. Tomorrow would change everything, one way or another, and this time I was the one holding the power to reshape our family's future. The letter wasn't an apology, I told Wren, as we sat in the hospital cafeteria at 4 a.m. Surgery was scheduled for 7. She regrets her weakness, not her silence. Closure doesn't mean they say sorry, Wren replied, pushing a coffee toward me. It means you get to stop asking why. I'm not looking for closure. I'm looking for... I trailed off, unable to name what I wanted. Validation? Justice? A reason to finally let go of all that rage that's been fueling you? The coffee burned my tongue. 3 hours until I had to be perfect. Until my mother's life depended on the career they tried to prevent. Nathan burst into the cafeteria. Sarah, we have a problem. I followed him to the pre-op room where Dad was arguing with a nurse. Demand a second opinion. These risk factors... What's going on? I asked, my voice cutting through his protests. He's trying to stop the surgery, the nurse said, demanding we wait for another surgeon. I pulled out the signed papers. This document gives me full medical authority. Your opinion is noted and irrelevant. She's my wife, Dad's face was red. You can't just... Actually, I can, and if you continue interfering with my patient's care, I'll have security remove you from the hospital. Patient? He stepped closer. She's your mother. No, I said coldly. Right now, she's a critical case requiring specialized vascular intervention, and you're disrupting her care team's preparation. Paige appeared, pulling at Dad's arm. Come on, you're making it worse. And making it worse? He yanked free. Your sister is about to perform experimental surgery on your mother, and I'm making it worse? Experimental, I laughed. I pioneered this technique 3 years ago. It's been successfully replicated in 4 countries. Would you like to see my published papers, the international awards, or are those still too much for a girl? The silence that followed was deafening. Dad seemed to deflate, aging years in seconds. I can't lose her, he whispered. For a moment, just a moment, I felt sorry for him. Then I remembered every dream he'd crushed, every dismissal, every time he'd made me feel small. Then it's fortunate, I said, that I'm exactly what you tried to prevent me from becoming. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to prep for surgery. In the scrub room, Nathan watched me methodically clean my hands. You okay? Ask me after the surgery. Sarah. He waited until I looked at him. The approach you're planning? Even I have doubts. Because it's too risky. Because no one else would attempt it. The margin for error is microscopic. I dried my hands, remembering every late-night study session, every extra shift, every moment that led to this. Good thing I'm not just anyone. The OR team was waiting. Every person there knew this was a career-defining moment. Success would cement my reputation. Failure would haunt me forever. Blood products ready, I asked. 6 units typed and crossed. Imaging? Real-time vascular mapping standing by? Monitoring? All systems calibrated. I took a deep breath, looking at the unconscious form of my mother, the woman who had watched silently as my dreams were sacrificed, who had written a letter explaining her weakness instead of defending her daughter. Nathan appeared at my shoulder. Last chance to modify the approach. No, I said, we do it my way, the impossible way, the way no one else would dare try. Through the observation window, I could see Paige and Dad watching. Wren stood with them, her presence a reminder of everything that had brought me here. A nurse started the surgical countdown. Time check, 7 a.m., beginning procedure. I picked up the scalpel, its weight familiar and comforting. One slip, one tremor, one moment of hesitation, and my mother would die under my hands. Ready? Nathan asked. I thought of the letter in my pocket, of Dad's dismissal, of Paige's wedding, of every moment I'd been told this was too much for a girl. Dr. Newton, the nurse prompted, are we proceeding? I looked at my steady hands, at the tools I'd mastered despite every obstacle, at the team waiting for my command. Let's see, I said, making the first precise incision. If I'm really too much for a girl, the surgery that would either save my mother or prove them right was officially underway. And for the first time since I'd walked out of that dinner 10 years ago, I felt completely, absolutely certain. This wasn't about revenge anymore. This was about being exactly who I was meant to be. Too much, too ambitious, too female, too perfect for them to handle. And I was just getting started. Suction, I commanded, my eyes fixed on the microscopic vessels beneath my hands. 6 hours in, and every movement had to be perfect. 1 millimeter too far in any direction would mean death. The memory of Dad throwing away my toy stethoscope flashed through my mind. Girls play with dolls, Sarah. BP dropping, a nurse called out. I see it, I replied, my hands steady. This was the critical moment, the one other surgeons had deemed impossible. Nathan stood ready. Want me to take over? No. My voice was steel. This is my procedure. Another memory, Mum catching me reading medical journals at 13. Wouldn't you rather look at fashion magazines, dear? Pressure's still dropping, the nurse warned. I could feel the tension in the room. Everyone knew this was the moment where most surgeons would back off, close up, admit defeat. I wasn't most surgeons. Additional blood products I ordered, and get me the micro forceps. Sarah, Nathan cautioned, if we lose this vessel, we won't. My hands moved with practiced precision, finding pathways where others saw only obstacles. Every late-night study session, every extra rotation, every moment of proving myself led to this. Pressure stabilizing, the nurse announced. I allowed myself a small breath. Microscope adjustment, 2 degrees left. The memory of Paige's wedding surfaced, me watching from a distance as my education fund paid for ice sculptures and dove releases. Starting the final anastomosis, I announced. This was the part that had made other surgeons balk. The connection had to be perfect, had to hold against impossible odds, just like me. Jesus, Nathan whispered as he watched my hands work. I've never seen anything like this. That's because no one else would try it, I replied, completing the final suture. Numbers? Pressure normal, perfusion improving, it's working. I stepped back, allowing myself to really look at what I'd accomplished. Close her up, standard protocol. Nathan's eyes were wide behind his surgical mask. Sarah, what you just did, that's going to rewrite textbooks. I know, I said simply, because I did know. I'd just done what every other surgeon had declared impossible. What my father had said was too much for a girl. 3 hours later, I walked into the waiting room. Dad jumped up, Paige clutching his arm. She's alive, I said before they could speak. The surgery was successful. She'll need extensive rehabilitation, but she'll recover. Dad's legs gave out. Paige started crying. Through the window, I could see the sun setting. We'd been in surgery for over 12 hours. Can we see her? Paige asked. In recovery, 1 at a time, 10 minutes each. Dad stepped forward. Sarah, thank you. I was wrong. About everything. I'm so... Stop. My voice was quiet but firm. I didn't do this for you. I did it because I'm the best at what I do, because this is exactly who I was meant to be, with or without your approval. But surely now, for Thanksgiving at least. No. I pulled off my surgical cap. I'm not coming to Thanksgiving. Not now, not ever. I'm not your daughter anymore. I'm the surgeon who saved your wife, that's all. Sarah, please, Paige tried to hug me. I stepped back. Don't. This doesn't fix anything. It just proves I was right all along. I turned to leave, then paused. Oh, and Mum's jewellery collection? Tell her to expect a call from my lawyer. That scholarship fund for female medical students isn't going to start itself. Nathan was waiting outside. That was kind of harsh. That was kind of perfect, I corrected. Now I need a drink. We headed to the hospital bar where Wren was waiting. She raised her glass. To the impossible surgeon. To being too much, I replied, clinking glasses. Your father looked destroyed, Nathan observed. Good. I took a sip. Let him feel what I felt when he destroyed my dreams. Except I'm giving him something he doesn't deserve. His wife back. And the scholarship fund, I smiled. That's not revenge, that's justice, for every girl told she's reaching too high, dreaming too big. My phone buzzed, messages flooding in as word of the surgery spread through medical circles. Tomorrow there would be papers to write, techniques to document, a whole new chapter of surgical history to record. But tonight I just sat there, feeling the weight of a decade's worth of anger finally begin to lift. I hadn't just saved my mother, I'd saved myself. From doubt, from their limitations, from the small life they'd tried to force me into. You know what the best part is, I told Wren and Nathan. Tomorrow, some little girl somewhere will read about this surgery, and when someone tells her she's reaching too high, she'll know better, because I proved them wrong. I raised my glass again. To being exactly what they feared, successful, unstoppable, and absolutely, perfectly too much. Dr. Newton! Reporters swarmed as I left the hospital. Can you comment on the revolutionary surgery? Is it true no other surgeon would attempt it? How does it feel to save your own mother? I pushed through them, Ren and Nathan flanking me like bodyguards. The story had exploded overnight. Local girl returns home to perform impossible surgery, saves mother who denied her dreams. Sarah. Dad's voice cut through the chaos. He stood by my rental car, holding a familiar wooden box. I'm leaving, I said flatly. I know. He held out the box. But you should have this first. Inside was my childhood plaque, the one they'd never acknowledged. Awards, certificates, newspaper clippings about my achievements. He'd kept them all. I was wrong, he said quietly, and I was afraid, because you were everything I could never be, brave enough to defy expectations. Keep it, I replied, closing the box. I don't need reminders of what you didn't support. Please, he tried again. Your mother's asking for you. My patient is in recovery. She'll be monitored by the resident team. That's not what I... Yes, it is. I met his eyes. You wanted the best surgeon. You got her. That's all this is. Paige appeared, holding papers. Here, the first payment for your education fund. I glanced at the cheque, then handed it back. Don't bother. Mom's jewellery collection will cover it. Consider your debt paid. It's not about the money anymore, is it? She asked softly. It never was. Nathan touched my arm. Our flight's in an hour. Sarah, wait. Dad's voice cracked. You were right back then. It was too much, but not for you, for me, for all of us. We couldn't handle seeing you become more than our small minds could imagine. I turned back one last time. You know what's funny? I used to dream about this moment, about proving you wrong so completely you'd have to admit it. But now? I smiled, and it felt like freedom. Now I don't care what you think at all. In the airport terminal, Nathan grabbed my hand. You okay? Better than okay. I pulled out my phone, showing him the emails flooding in. Other hospitals, research facilities, medical journals, all wanting to know more about the surgery, the technique, the surgeon who dared the impossible. They're calling you a pioneer, Ren said, scrolling through news articles. They're calling me a miracle worker, I corrected. But really, I'm just a girl who was told no too many times. My phone buzzed, a message from Ray, my hospital administrator. Board meeting tomorrow, time to discuss that department head position you deserve. See? I showed them the message. Being too much pays off. Speaking of paying off, Ren said, I've already drafted the Scholarship Foundation paperwork. The Newton Fund for Women in Medicine has a nice ring to it. I shook my head. No, call it the Too Much Foundation, for girls who dream beyond expectations. The flight began boarding. As we stood up, Nathan hesitated. You really never going back? Never needed to. I shouldered my bag. Everything I am, I built without them. Everything I'll become, I'll build the same way. Through the terminal window, I could see reporters still gathering, hungry for the story of the prodigal daughter's triumphant return. But they had it wrong. This wasn't about coming home. This was about finally, completely leaving it behind. You know what the hardest cut is in surgery? I asked as we walked to the gate. It's not the first one. It's the last one, the one that either heals everything or ruins it all. And yesterday? Ren asked. Which was that? Neither. I handed over my boarding pass. It was just me being exactly who I was meant to be, no more, no less. As the plane took off, I thought about that dinner 10 years ago, about the untouched wine glass and the shattered dreams, about how they thought they were ending my story, when really they were just giving me the first line of a better one. My phone buzzed one last time, a message from Paige. Mum's awake. She's asking if you'll take more patients like her. I told her you're already booked saving other people's daughters. I smiled, turned off my phone and looked out at the clouds. Let them wonder, let them worry, let them finally understand what they lost when they tried to make me smaller. Because I wasn't just a surgeon now. I was living proof that sometimes being too much is exactly enough. And somewhere out there, another girl was reading about my surgery, dreaming of scalpels and science, refusing to be less than everything she could become. That was the real victory. That was the perfect revenge. That was the truth they could never diminish again. I was too much, and I was just getting started.
I stared at the prenuptial agreement on my desk, running my fingers over the embossed letterhead of one of Manhattan's most prestigious law firms. Even now, 5 years later, the memory of that day makes my hands shake. My name is Solstice, and I'm about to tell you how I turned a cruel prenup into the sweetest revenge. Sign here, dear. Savannah's manicured nail tapped the bottom of page 23. Her voice dripped honey, but her eyes were cold as she watched me from across the mahogany conference table. It's just a formality. All marriages in our circle have them. I remember looking at Titus, searching his face for any sign that he'd stand up for me. He avoided my eyes, suddenly fascinated by his Rolex watch. I'd like to read it first, I said quietly, pulling the stack of papers closer. Savannah's perfectly lined lips twitched. Of course, but we have dinner reservations at Le Bernardin in an hour. Perhaps you could speed things along? The attorney they'd chosen, a silver-haired man who looked like he charged more per hour than I made in a month, cleared his throat. The terms are standard. Mr. Romero's family assets are protected, and any joint assets acquired during the marriage will be split equally. Standard? I echoed, flipping through the pages. It says here I waive all rights to any property, investments, or business interests held by the Romero family. Well, darling, Savannah leaned forward, her diamond tennis bracelet catching the light. Surely you understand. We've built this legacy over generations. We can't risk temporary ornaments disrupting that. The slap of those words stung worse than if she'd actually struck me. I felt heat rise to my cheeks, but kept my voice steady. Temporary ornaments? Mother, Titus finally spoke, but his protest was weak, like everything else about him lately. I'm just being practical, Savannah waved her hand dismissively. After all, Solstice, you're what was it again? An administrative assistant? Executive assistant, I corrected, though it didn't matter. To them, I'd always be the girl from the wrong side of the tracks who somehow caught their golden boy's eye. May I have my own lawyer review this? I asked, knowing the answer before Savannah's perfectly plucked eyebrows shot up. The wedding is in 3 weeks, she said sharply. We don't have time for unnecessary delays. Either you sign, showing you trust our family, or... The threat hung in the air. I looked at Titus again, but he was examining his cuticles now. 5 years of dating, and he couldn't even meet my eyes. I have one condition, I said, surprising myself with how calm I sounded. I want a clause added about independent ventures. The attorney frowned. What kind of ventures? Any business I might start on my own during the marriage. Those remain mine entirely. Savannah actually laughed. Oh, darling, planning to open a little Etsy shop? Something like that, I replied, watching her share an amused look with Titus. The attorney shrugged, probably thinking about his dinner plans. I don't see why not. It's irrelevant to the family's interests. He scribbled something on page 17, then pushed the papers back to me. Initial here and sign on the last page. I read the new clause carefully, memorizing every word while Savannah tapped her expensive heel impatiently. Then I signed. Welcome to the family, Savannah said, but her smile didn't reach her eyes. Now, about the wedding, I've taken the liberty of revising your choice of flowers. Peonies are so common. I nodded, already distant, thinking about the small jewelry-making kit hidden in my apartment closet, the one Titus had mockingly called my cute little hobby last month. Later that night, alone in my bedroom, I read through the entire prenup again. Savannah had been so focused on protecting their fortune, so convinced of my insignificance, that she'd handed me the perfect weapon without even knowing it. They shouldn't have underestimated me, I whispered to the empty room, carefully folding the papers and sliding them into my desk drawer. My phone buzzed, a text from Bailey. How'd it go with the dragons? I typed back. They think they've caged me, but they forgot to check if I had wings. Bailey's response was immediate. "Girl, you're scaring me. What are you planning?" I smiled in the darkness, thinking about the business plan I'd been quietly developing, the online courses I'd been taking in secret. "Just wait and see," I replied. "Just wait and see." The wedding was in 3 weeks. The revenge would take longer. But that was okay. I've always been good at playing the long game. "Oh, how quaint," Savannah's voice carried across the expansive living room as she examined my crafting table. "Titus, darling, perhaps we could move this little setup to the basement? It doesn't quite match the aesthetic we discussed." I kept arranging my beads, pretending not to hear. It had been 8 months since the wedding, and Sunday family dinners had become an Olympic sport in passive-aggressive commentary. "Actually, Mother," Titus said, barely looking up from his phone, "the basement floods sometimes. Wouldn't want to risk damaging your, what are those again, honey?" "Semi-precious stones," I replied, carefully wrapping rose quartz in copper wire. "This piece is for—" "Speaking of precious things," Denise cut in, swirling her wine glass, "did you see Caroline's daughter just landed a junior executive position at Goldman? 26 years old. Some people just have that drive." I bit my tongue, continuing my work. My phone buzzed quietly, a notification from my Etsy shop, another sale. "Solstice," Savannah called from the kitchen. "Be a dear and help with the plates. That's more your expertise, isn't it?" I carefully set down my tools and went to help, catching Bailey's eye as she followed me. She'd insisted on coming to these dinners lately, claiming moral support, but I knew she was really there to keep me from snapping. "Did you see the order that just came in?" Bailey whispered as we gathered plates. "That's your 3rd sale today." "4th," I corrected quietly. "Someone bought the moonstone pendant this morning." "Ladies," Savannah appeared behind us, making me jump. "Less chattering, more serving. Denise is telling us about her charity gala." Back in the dining room, Denise was holding court. "Of course, we're expecting at least 200 guests. Very exclusive. Solstice, dear, we'll need help with the coat check." "Actually," I said, setting down the plates, "I'm busy that weekend. I have a craft fair." The silence that followed was deafening until Savannah broke it with a laugh. "Oh, darling, this isn't some little church bazaar you can skip. This is a Romero family event." "I've already paid for my booth," I said firmly, "and I have orders to fulfill." "Orders?" Titus finally looked up from his phone. "You're actually selling those things?" Before I could answer, my phone buzzed again, then again, and again. Bailey grabbed it before I could, her eyes widening. "Sol, you need to see this." I excused myself to the kitchen, ignoring Savannah's disapproving click of the tongue. When I saw my screen, my hands started shaking. "Some influencer just shared your shop," Bailey whispered excitedly. "You've got 37 orders in the last 5 minutes. "Impossible," I breathed, scrolling through the notifications. But there they were, order after order, messages asking about custom pieces, wholesale inquiries. "Everything all right in here?" Titus appeared in the doorway, looking annoyed. "Mother's about to serve the main course." "Everything's perfect," I said, quickly putting my phone away. "Just perfect." Later that night, after everyone had left and Titus had retreated to his home office, I sat at my crafting table calculating numbers. With these new orders, I'd make more this month than my administrative job paid. My phone lit up with a message from an unknown number. "Saw your pieces on Instagram. We're a boutique in LA interested in stocking your line. Please call to discuss." I stared at the message, heart pounding. This was it, the moment I'd been planning for. I grabbed my laptop and pulled up the business plan I'd been refining for months. "Still playing with your beads?" Titus appeared behind me, making me quickly close the laptop. "You know, if you need spending money, you could just ask." I thought about the separate bank account I'd opened last month, already holding a comfortable cushion from my online sales. "I'm good, thanks." "Well, don't stay up too late," he yawned. "Mother's expecting us for brunch tomorrow. She wants to discuss your wardrobe choices for the gala. After he left, I reopened my laptop and typed a quick email to Yosef, the quiet attorney I'd been consulting. Ready to move forward with the LLC registration. Let's meet Tuesday. Bailey texted, "You okay after tonight?" I smiled, looking at my crafting table, my launching pad disguised as a hobby. Better than okay. Remember what I said about wings? Yeah? They're getting stronger every day. I picked up the rose quartz piece I'd been working on earlier, now completed. It would sell for $300, not that the Romeros would ever bother to check my prices. They were too busy planning galas and judging my little hobby to notice I was building an empire right under their noses. Their biggest mistake wasn't making me sign that prenup. It was believing I'd stay in the cage they built for me. LLC registration complete, Yosef said, sliding the documents across his desk. Congratulations on officially becoming a business owner. I traced my fingers over the company name, Solstice Designs. Simple, elegant, mine. The separate bank account is set up? He asked, adjusting his glasses. Yes, and I've been documenting everything. Every penny earned, every supply purchased. Good, he leaned forward. Remember what we discussed. Keep your personal and business finances completely separate. And Titus doesn't need to know yet, I finished. As per the prenup clause we added. My phone buzzed. Another wholesale inquiry. They were coming daily now. I need a marketing person, I said, more to myself than Yosef. Someone who understands social media, scaling. Actually, he reached for a business card. I might know someone. That's how I met Layla. She walked into the coffee shop the next day like she owned it, designer laptop under one arm, portfolio in hand. I've been following your brand, she said, sitting down. Your aesthetic is incredible, but you're only reaching about 10% of your potential market. I sipped my coffee, studying her. And you can help with that? I can help you build an empire. She opened her laptop, turning it to show me a presentation. But first, we need to talk about your pricing strategy. You're selling yourself short. 2 hours later, I had a marketing director and a whole new vision for my company. Layla didn't just understand social media. She understood luxury branding, influencer partnerships, and most importantly, she understood me. Why are you working so late? Titus asked that evening, finding me at my crafting table. Just finishing some orders, I said, not mentioning the meeting I'd had with Layla or the 5-figure purchase order from a high-end boutique. Mother says you've been missing family dinners. I've been busy. He sighed, that condescending sound I'd grown to hate. With your little jewelry thing? Come on, Solstice. You need to prioritize. I thought about the warehouse space Layla and I had looked at earlier, about the 3 artisans I just hired to help with production. You're right. I do need to prioritize. The next few months passed in a blur of growth. My dining room table became command central, covered in shipping labels and order forms when the Romeros weren't visiting. Layla's marketing strategy was working better than we'd imagined. Look at this, Bailey said one morning, holding up her phone. A major fashion magazine had featured one of my necklaces in their must-have accessories spread. They didn't mention it was yours, she added. Good, I replied, packaging another order. Let's keep it that way. Later that week, during another mandatory family dinner, Denise was flipping through that same magazine. Oh, look at these pieces, she said, showing Savannah. This is what real jewelry looks like, Solstice, not that craft fair stuff you make. I caught Bailey's eye across the table, and we both had to hide our smiles. The craft fair stuff had just been picked up by 3 luxury department stores. Speaking of which, Savannah set down her fork. We hardly see you at family functions anymore, always busy with your little hobby. It keeps me occupied, I said mildly, thinking of the business meeting I had tomorrow with potential investors. Well, Denise smirked, at least she's not asking Titus for shopping money anymore. If they only knew that my last month's revenue could buy their entire dinner service set 10 times over. My phone buzzed. Layla had sent a message. The magazine wants to do a feature, full interview, brand spotlight. Should I set it up? Everything okay? Titus asked, noticing my expression. Perfect, I replied, typing back to Layla. Book it, but keep my name out of it. Use the brand only. That night, after another successful day of sales, I sat in my home office reviewing the numbers. The business had grown beyond my wildest expectations, but I kept playing small at home. Let them think I was just a housewife with a hobby. Let them underestimate me. My phone lit up with a text from Bailey. Did you see? Denise shared your magazine feature on Instagram. She has no idea it's your company. I laughed softly, thinking about the irony. The Romeros had spent years looking down on me, and now they were unknowingly promoting my brand to their social circles. Just wait, I texted back. The best part is yet to come, because while they were busy mocking my little hobby, I was building something they couldn't touch, something protected by their own precious prenup. And soon, very soon, they'd realize just how badly they'd underestimated the temporary ornament they'd welcomed into their family. Is that a Chanel bag? Titus asked one morning, eyeing my new accessory as I rushed to leave for a craft fair. Oh, this? I adjusted the strap, remembering when similar bags used to intimidate me at family gatherings. Just a good replica. He frowned, taking a closer look. It looks authentic. I'm late for my meeting, I said, quickly correcting myself. The craft fair. You're going to a craft fair dressed like that? He gestured to my designer outfit, another recent purchase I'd explained away as good deals from outlet stores. Some of us like to look professional, Titus. I grabbed my keys, but he blocked the doorway. What's really going on, Solstice? These clothes, the late nights, all these meetings? Nothing's going on, I said smoothly. My hobby's doing well, that's all. How well? I thought about the warehouse I'd just leased, the 30 employees now on payroll, the upcoming collaboration with a major department store. Well enough. His eyes narrowed. Show me the books. Excuse me? The financial records for your little jewelry business. He crossed his arms. If it's doing so well, you won't mind sharing the numbers with your husband. I felt a familiar surge of anger, but kept my voice level. Actually, I do mind. My business is separate from our marriage. Remember the prenup? The prenup? He laughed. That was about my family's assets, not your craft project. My phone buzzed. Layla was waiting at the office. Yes, we had an actual office now, not that Titus knew that. We can discuss this later, I said, stepping around him. I have to go. To another mysterious meeting? He grabbed my arm. What are you hiding? I pulled away, my patience wearing thin. Don't ever grab me like that again. His face reddened. I want to see the financial records. Tonight. No. I opened the door. And if you ever touch me like that again, you'll regret it. At the office, Layla could tell something was wrong. Trouble in paradise? He's getting suspicious, I said, reviewing the latest sales reports. The success is getting harder to hide. Maybe it's time to stop hiding, she suggested, pulling up our social media metrics. We're trending again. The new home decor line is exploding. I shook my head. Not yet. Everything has to be perfect first. Speaking of perfect, she grinned, wait until you see who wants to collaborate with us. She turned her laptop to show me an email from one of the biggest luxury retailers in the country. The numbers made my head spin. Holy, I whispered. Still want to keep playing small? Layla raised an eyebrow. That evening I returned home to find Titus in his office, surrounded by papers. The prenup was open on his desk. Had your lawyer look it over? I asked, recognizing the document. He looked up, startled. How did you, know? Because I've been 10 steps ahead of you since the day your mother made me sign that paper. What's that supposed to mean? My phone buzzed again. Another notification about our viral home collection. It means you should have read the fine print. Later that night, I called Bailey. It's starting, I told her. He's digging into the prenup. Are you ready? She asked. I looked at my laptop screen, at the 8-figure revenue projections for the next quarter. More than ready. Solstice? Titus called from downstairs. There's something weird in this contract? About independent ventures? I smiled, remembering Savannah's dismissive laugh when I'd requested that clause. Coming, dear. I found him frowning at the document. This says any business you start during the marriage remains solely yours? That's right. But, he looked confused. Your jewelry thing, it's just a hobby, right? I pulled out my phone and pulled up the Solstice Designs website, the one he'd never bothered to look at, the one featuring our nationwide locations, press coverage, and celebrity collaborations. Why don't you see for yourself? I handed him the phone. His face went pale as he scrolled, taking in the empire I'd built right under his nose. This is impossible. No, I corrected him. This is what happens when you underestimate someone. He grabbed the prenup again, reading frantically. But our lawyers, they checked everything. They checked what they thought was important, I said, turning to leave. They protected your family's money, but they never thought to protect you from me. I paused at the door. Oh, and Titus, you might want to call your mother. I have a feeling she'll want to review that prenup herself. Mrs. Romero, please have a seat. John Wells, Titus's lawyer, gestured to the chair across from his mahogany desk. His smile was strained, professional worry lines creasing his forehead. Actually, I said, setting down my Hermes bag, authentic this time. I'll stand. This won't take long. He cleared his throat. We've reviewed your company's financials. Impressive growth. But surely you understand that as Titus's wife. Let me stop you right there. I pulled out my own copy of the prenup, the one I'd kept safely stored all these years. Page 17, paragraph 3. Would you like to read it aloud? His eyes skimmed the page, and I watched the color drain from his face. The door burst open, and Savannah stormed in, Titus trailing behind her. This is absurd, she announced, her tennis bracelet jangling as she waved her arms. That clause was meant for craft fairs and bake sales, not a multi-million-dollar company, I finished for her. Funny how things work out. You manipulated us, Titus said, his voice shaking. You planned this from the start. I turned to face him. No, you handed me this opportunity. All of you did. Every time you mocked my little hobby, every time you treated me like I was beneath you. We'll fight this, Savannah declared. We have the best lawyers in Manhattan. By all means, I smiled, fight it. But first let me remind you who wrote this prenup. Your lawyers, your terms, your words. John cleared his throat again. Mrs. Romero, Savannah, she's right. The clause is ironclad. Any independent business venture started during the marriage remains solely her property. That's impossible, Savannah slammed her hand on the desk. Show me the company registration dates. I nodded to Yosef, who had been quietly observing from the corner. He opened his briefcase and produced a stack of documents. Solstice Designs, LLC, he read. Registered 6 months after the wedding. All paperwork filed correctly, all taxes paid, all profits kept strictly separate from joint accounts. But the money, Titus interrupted. She used our money to start it. Actually, I pulled out my original bank statements. I used the proceeds from my first few Etsy sales. Remember those? The ones you laughed at during family dinner? Savannah sank into a chair, her perfectly maintained facade cracking. How much? She whispered. How much is the company worth? I exchanged glances with Yosef, who nodded. Our latest valuation puts Solstice Designs at $15 million. Conservative estimate. The silence in the room was deafening. That's... Titus stumbled over his words. That's more than our family's entire... Annual income, I finished. Yes, I know. I've seen your tax returns. Perks of being the little wife who handles the paperwork. You can't do this to us. Savannah stood up, her voice rising. We're family. Family? I laughed, but there was no humor in it. Was I family when you called me a temporary ornament? When you made me work coat check at your galas? When you treated me like a charity case for 5 years? I want a divorce, Titus announced suddenly. Finally, I said, something we agree on. John shifted uncomfortably. Perhaps we could discuss a settlement. There's nothing to discuss, I cut in. The prenup is clear. Titus gets what he came with. I keep what I built. While using our name, Savannah protested. The Romero connection. Check your facts, I interrupted. I never once used your precious name. Every bit of press, every collaboration, every sale was under Solstice Designs. You were too busy looking down your noses to notice. My phone buzzed. Layla was texting about another major deal. I checked the time. Now, if we're done here, I have a company to run. This isn't over, Savannah hissed as I reached the door. I turned back one last time. You're right. It's not over. The divorce proceedings will start next week. But this? I gestured to the prenup on the desk. This ended the moment you decided I wasn't good enough for your family. As I walked out, I heard Titus ask in a broken voice, Mother, what have we done? In the elevator, I texted Bailey, It's done. They know everything. Her response was immediate. How does it feel? I thought about the years of subtle degradation, the sideways glances, the condescending comments. Then I thought about my growing empire, built piece by piece while they weren't watching. It feels, I typed back, exactly like karma. The mediation room felt smaller than I remembered, despite its floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Manhattan. The Romeros sat across the table, dressed like they were heading to a corporate takeover rather than a divorce settlement. Let's begin, the mediator said, shuffling her papers. We're here to discuss asset division in the dissolution of... We'll take 50% of Solstice Designs, Savannah interrupted, her voice sharp. That's more than fair, considering the company was built during the marriage. I glanced at Layla, who gave me a subtle nod. She pulled out a leather portfolio and began distributing documents. Before we continue, Layla said, I'd like to present our latest valuation report. As CEO of Solstice Designs, I believe these numbers will help inform the discussion. CEO? Titus sputtered. Since when? Since your wife brilliantly appointed me 6 months ago, Layla smiled, though I've been the marketing director for nearly 2 years. The mediator reviewed the documents, her eyebrows rising. These numbers are substantial. 23 million, I said quietly. That's our current valuation, up from 15 million last quarter. Savannah grabbed the papers, her hands shaking. This is impossible. You make jewelry, little trinkets, and... Actually, Layla interrupted, pulling up a presentation on the room's screen. Solstice Designs has expanded into home decor, luxury accessories, and we've just launched our first flagship store in Soho. Perhaps you've seen it. The opening made quite a splash in Vogue. Titus loosened his tie, looking pale. But the prenup... Yes, I leaned forward. Let's talk about the prenup. The one your mother was so insistent on. The one that specifically protected any independent business ventures I started during our marriage. Our lawyers have reviewed everything, Yosef added, speaking for the first time. The company was founded with separate funds, maintained separately, and falls squarely within the prenup's protection clause. This is theft! Savannah stood up, her chair scraping against the floor. You've stolen our family's good name. Show me once, I challenged, where I used the Romero name. Show me one advertisement, one product label, one press release. Silence filled the room. You can't, I continued, because I never did. Every success, every milestone, every dollar earned was under my name alone. The mediator cleared her throat. Given the prenuptial agreement and the documentation provided, Solstice Designs is clearly separate property. It's not subject to division in the divorce. Then what do I get? Titus asked, his voice small. Layla pulled out another document. According to our records, you get the furniture you brought into the marriage, your personal belongings, and—" she paused for effect, "the credit card debt you've accumulated at your private club." "This is outrageous," Savannah snapped. "We'll appeal. You'll what?" I stood up slowly. "Expose how you forced a prenup on me? How you treated me like dirt for 5 years? How you never bothered to notice I was building an empire right under your noses?" "You tricked us," Titus accused. "No," I corrected him. "I outplayed you. There's a difference." The mediator shuffled her papers again. "If there are no other assets to discuss—" "Actually," I reached into my bag, "there is one more thing." I pulled out a manila envelope and slid it across the table to Savannah. "Your prenup, the original copy. I thought you might want it as a souvenir." Her hands trembled as she opened it. "Why are you doing this?" "Because you wrote this script, Savannah. You were so worried about protecting your family's wealth that you never considered I might create my own." "I'd like to make a counteroffer." Titus tried one last time. "There will be no counteroffers," Yosef stated firmly. "The terms are clear, and they're non-negotiable." I gathered my things, ready to leave this chapter of my life behind. "You know what the funniest part is?" I said, pausing at the door. "If you had treated me with an ounce of respect, I might have shared my success with you. But you made it clear from day one that I wasn't good enough for your family." "And now?" Savannah asked, her voice barely a whisper. "Now you're not good enough for mine." As we walked out, Layla squeezed my arm. "That was better than any revenge fantasy I've ever had." "It's not about revenge," I said, watching the Romeros through the glass walls, huddled together like survivors of a shipwreck. "It's about justice and karma." My phone buzzed. Another notification about our soaring stock price. I smiled, thinking about how fitting it was that their precious prenup had become the very thing that brought them down. "Ready to go?" Layla asked. "We have that meeting with the European distributors." I took one last look at my soon-to-be ex-family. "More than ready. Let's build something even bigger." "Have you seen this?" Bailey tossed a magazine onto my desk. The cover showed me and Layla at our Soho store opening, surrounded by A-list celebrities wearing Solstice Designs pieces. "From craft table to empire, how Solstice Designs became fashion's fastest-growing luxury brand," I read the headline aloud. "The timing couldn't be better," Bailey grinned. "The divorce was finalized yesterday, right?" I nodded, spinning my now empty ring finger. "Titus moved out last week, into a one-bedroom condo in Jersey." "How the mighty have fallen," Bailey said, scrolling through her phone. "Oh my God, speaking of falling, have you seen Savannah's latest Instagram post?" She held up her phone, showing me a photo of Savannah at some charity event. The caption read, "Sometimes life's greatest lessons come from unexpected places. Humbled grow new beginnings." "Humbled is right," I said. "Their country club membership got revoked after Titus couldn't pay the dues." My office phone buzzed. "Ms. Pearson, Denise is here to see you." I exchanged looks with Bailey. "Send her in." Denise walked in wearing last season's Prada, looking decidedly less polished than usual. "Solstice, this is a beautiful office." "What do you want, Denise?" She fidgeted with her handbag. "I always knew you had potential. Even back then, I told Mother—" "No," I cut her off. "You mocked me. You all did. Don't try to rewrite history now." "We were wrong," she said quietly. "I was wrong, and I thought maybe, given our history—" "You want a job," I realized. "That's why you're here." She straightened up. "I have connections. I know people, the same people who won't return your calls now that the Romero fortune is drying up." Her face fell. "That's not fair." "Neither was making me check coats at your galas," I replied. "Neither was calling my work cute little crafts for 5 years. People change," she insisted. "Yes, they do, but usually only when they're forced to." I stood up. "I'm not interested in your connections, Denise. I built this company while you were busy looking down on me." "Mother was right," she snapped, mask finally cracking. "You planned this from the start." "No," I corrected her. "I survived your family's cruelty, and I turned it into fuel. There's a difference." After she stormed out, Bailey whistled low. That felt good to watch. My phone buzzed with a text from Titus. "I need to talk. I messed up." Speaking of messing up, I showed Bailey the message. "Are you going to respond?" Before I could answer, my assistant rushed in. "Ms. Pearson, the Times wants to do a feature. They're calling you the Queen of Quiet Success." I laughed at the irony. There was nothing quiet about my success anymore. The story had gone viral, the underestimated wife who turned a prenup into a weapon of karmic justice. Also, she added, Vogue wants you for their Women in Power issue. "Book them both," I said. "It's time to tell my story." Later that evening, as I was leaving the office, I ran into Layla in the elevator. "Did you see?" she asked, showing me her tablet. "Our stock price doubled after the divorce news broke. Apparently, people love a good revenge success story." "It wasn't about revenge," I said, though we both knew that wasn't entirely true. "Tell that to Titus," she smirked. "I heard he's been showing up at our retailers, trying to claim he's part of the company." How embarrassing for him. Almost as embarrassing as Savannah getting caught trying to return fake Solstice Designs pieces to our flagship store. The elevator doors opened to the lobby, where a group of young women was waiting for their interview slots. Each one clutched a portfolio, eyes bright with ambition. "Remember when that was you?" Layla asked softly. "Except you didn't have anyone holding the door open." I watched the aspiring designers, thinking about how different my life had become. No, I had people trying to slam it in my face. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Titus. "Please, I miss you." This time I replied, "What you mistook for weakness was strategy. What you called a hobby became an empire. What you tried to control set me free." Then I blocked his number. "Ready for tomorrow's board meeting?" Layla asked as we walked out. I smiled, thinking about the expansion plans we'd be announcing. More than ready. After all, success is the best revenge. "And karma?" She raised an eyebrow. "Karma," I said, watching my driver pull up in my new Mercedes, "is just getting started. And that's why I'm here today," I said into the microphone, looking out at the sea of faces in the conference hall. "To tell you that success isn't about revenge, it's about resilience." The audience of young entrepreneurs hung on every word. In the front row, I spotted Bailey wiping away tears and Layla nodding proudly. "When they handed me that prenup," I continued, "they thought they were protecting their wealth. Instead, they gave me the blueprint for my freedom." A hand shot up during the Q&A. "Did you ever confront your ex-mother-in-law about how she treated you?" "Actually," I smiled, "she confronted me last week, right here in this hotel." The crowd leaned forward, hungry for details. I was checking in for this conference when I heard her voice behind me. "Solstice," she said, "we need to talk." I paused, remembering the moment. Savannah looked different, smaller somehow. She'd sold her designer wardrobe, I'd heard, to cover legal fees after Titus's failed lawsuit. "What did she want?" someone called out. "To apologize? To negotiate? To beg?" I shook my head. It didn't matter. I simply turned to her and said, "No, Savannah, we don't need to talk. You had 5 years to talk to me, to see me, to treat me like a human being. That time is over." Murmurs rippled through the audience. She tried to follow me to the elevator, saying something about family and forgiveness. I stopped her with one question. "Did you know I miscarried during our 2nd year of marriage?" The room went silent. "No," she said. "Titus never told me." And I replied, "I told him. I told all of you at a family dinner, but you were too busy discussing Denise's new yacht to hear me." I took a sip of water, letting the weight of that sink in. That's when I realized Their cruelty had given me a gift. It taught me that success isn't about proving others wrong, it's about proving yourself right. Another hand. What about your ex-husband? Does he regret his choices? Titus sends me letters sometimes, I admitted. Each one starts with "I'm sorry" and ends with a business proposal. Laughter rippled through the crowd. But here's what I want you all to understand. I leaned into the microphone. This isn't a story about getting even. It's about getting ahead. While they were busy protecting their legacy, I was building mine. In the back of the room, I spotted a familiar face, Yosef, my attorney, who'd believed in my vision from the start. The prenup they forced me to sign had one clause they overlooked, but the real oversight? They overlooked me. And that's the lesson I want you to take home today. Don't overreact, outgrow, outbuild, outlast. The applause was deafening. Afterward, in the green room, Bailey hugged me tight. That was incredible, but you didn't tell them about the foundation. Some things, I smiled, are better shown than told. Layla walked in with her tablet. The Solstice Foundation website just went live. First-generation college scholarships, small business grants for women entrepreneurs. And? I asked. And, she grinned. The first grant recipient is the daughter of your old admin assistant, the one Savannah said would never amount to anything. My phone buzzed, a news alert. The Romeros were selling their mansion. The photo showed a "for sale" sign in front of those imposing gates that had once intimidated me. Should we buy it? Layla joked. Turn it into a business incubator for women entrepreneurs? Actually, I said, that's exactly what we're going to do. Bailey's eyes widened. You're not serious. Dead serious. Let's transform their symbol of exclusion into a space of opportunity. Now that, Layla said, is karma. As we left the conference hall, a young woman stopped me. Ms. Pearson, your story changed my life. I was about to give up on my startup, but now? I touched her arm. Never let anyone else write your story, and never, ever sign anything without reading the fine print. She laughed, then grew serious. One more question? Do you regret any of it? I thought about the crafting table where it all began, now displayed in our company museum. About the prenup that became my ladder instead of my cage. About the family that tried to break me but made me unbreakable instead. No, I said finally. I don't regret a single moment, because every slight, every dismissal, every cruel word, they all became building blocks. And look what I built. We stepped outside, where my driver waited beside the car. The sun caught the Solstice Designs logo on the side, a rising sun breaking through clouds. Ready to go? Layla asked. I looked back at the conference center, where hundreds of women were leaving with new dreams and determination in their eyes. Ready, I said. We have an empire to run.